welcome back to 10 Tenths Podcast. This is Michael with Adam and Robert. How are you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good.
My allergies are fucking killing me.
Yeah, Adam's
so I'm
gonna be
apologizing in
sniffling.
advance. I'm going to be sniffling. I have a box of Kleenexes right next to me. I'll do my best not to blow my nose into the mic.
Do you know what you're allergic to?
The world.
Everything.
Okay, fair enough.
No foods, no meds.
Not cats.
Yes. No, I am.
You still have cats.
I'm so allergic to, I'm allergic to so many things that not having a cat in my house would not like radically change my quality of living.
The incremental suffering is minimal, you've decided.
And I love my cat more than anything except my son, probably. And so it's just not worth it to me.
Do you still have Stan's cat?
Yeah, still Stan's
okay,
cat.
okay.
Yeah, he's still around.
Okay. Was it him or was it the other cat?
No, it's Stan's cat.
Okay.
He was being a real dick for. But
Did he chill out?
Yeah.
He's getting there?
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll get better as Logan gets older, though.
I don't know.
think?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just
Whatever.
assuming more time might help.
Cats are
Trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Dogs
I
are
don't trust
annoying.
cats.
Kids are annoying.
Cats are sketchy
Life
to
is
me.
annoying. Leave me alone.
Jeez. Would you turn 28?
No,
No, he's almost 30, bro. That's the problem.
So here's my. No, I'm not almost 30. I've been 30 for
Oh, no,
like
that's right.
4
Damn it,
months.
you're right. You're right. You are 30. That's what it is. It's because he's 30.
30.
So here's the shitty predicament I'm in, right? You of all people know this quite well. Like
You of all people.
You of
When
all-
it-
you
of
people.
all-
when it gets
What do you mean,
late,
you people?
When it gets late at night, my nose starts to run
I get
worse.
that.
You know, because the more tired I get, the more my nose runs.
Yep.
But then, because my allergies are flaring up, I don't sleep well. So
You're
I'm
always
tired.
It's a never-ending cycle.
And so then my nose runs even worse. I just can't fucking win. And so I'm a bit grouchy right now.
Man.
I'm upfront about it. At least I'm realistic
Can you
about
like,
it,
drink,
right?
some, drink some Rooster Booster or something?
Bro, Migo, you got to get some of this.
I'm not drinking your
Kombucha, bro.
Your alcohol.
It's called Synergy.
No.
That's an HR term.
I said it right that
refuse
time,
to
right?
deal
You did say
with.
it right.
Synergy.
Synergy.
That's a
We're going
Put
to
too much
synergize
emphasis on the Y.
Yeah.
yeah,
Bro, but
That's
this
the-
would-
that's
yeah.
the tree hugging hippie shit. Right
Synergize your feng
there.
shui,
That's not a
bro.
word. Synergize is not a word.
It would
Michael.
align your chi.
Oh,
It would remove the toxins for
No,
sure.
no,
100%
no.
Do you have to
chance.
go to like Whole Foods to get that?
oh, for sure.
No, you can get that. Well, so now
They sell kombucha
Oh,
like
no,
at
no.
gas
You,
stations.
you can get it at the organic bullshit at Hy-Vee.
Yep.
See?
You can buy
Yep.
kombucha at gas stations.
Oh.
It's
Oh,
right
you
there,
can?
right next. Well, the Hy-Vee gas stations at least. They have like.
that does count.
Excuse me. They have like 6 flavors of kombucha.
Damn, son.
I don't know anything.
So many options.
If you're really feeling like you got a lot of toxins, you should hit that up while you're out. You know
Does
what I
that
mean? On a road
remove
trip.
toxins?
I don't. Well, so here's the thing. It doesn't say it on here. So that's kind of a,
Okay. Okay.
so it's probably less bullshit than some other things that say that they do
It's
remove toxins.
fermented tea.
It's fermented tea. Yeah, it's probiotics.
What's that cost?
This
Too much.
$2.99 for this.
You know, if you
So what is this? 16 ounces.
if you want
probably?
tea, you can go and get Arizona sweet tea or unsweet tea or Arnold Palmer. It's
99
cents.
For a big can.
It's cheaper than water.
It literally.
It actually is
cheaper than what?
I like a nice giant Arizona. It's all Arizona tea, isn't it?
Yeah, Arizona tea.
Yeah, I like a nice giant
That's what I usually
thing
get.
of Arnold Palmer every once in a while.
On my memories on Facebook today popped up like a year ago when you were trolling me with hashtag San Pellegrino and
Yeah.
hashtag fancy water.
Yep, and
That shit
Pierre.
popped up on my Facebook memory feed today.
It's been a year.
Ooh, watch this.
Yeah.
Everybody that's on the Facebook
No,
page.
don't do that. God damn it.
You have to now.
I guess like every week it's something new, right? So
Yeah,
all right,
tag.
fine,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's your turn
Yeah,
because
it's
this
my
week
turn, I
you guys
guess.
haven't roasted Robbie very hard, but it was Robbie's
we
turn
found
this week.
we found his vehicle for cruising about the estate in though.
It's a dually. It's a 3500 Silverado, basically with a
With an
Cadillac
Escalade
front end.
conversion.
Yeah.
Escalade conversion on the front. It's a good look, Robbie.
I'd drive that. Great
Jess
t-
needs a Cayenne. It was the
No.
most expensive, or like a G wagon. That's what you really need.
I'd rather have a G-Wagon than a Cayenne.
G-Wagons, you know how expensive G-Wagons are?
All of the expense.
I don't think there's one cheaper than 6 figures now.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's crazy.
I'm sure.
It's a Jeep with
they're
some
ugly.
fancy badging on it, and they haven't changed the styling of it in 30 years,
Not a
40
lick.
years. It's the same. Very
Yeah.
expensive. It's got exposed hinges. It's got to be the most expensive car with exposed hinges that you can buy.
outside of a
Is
military
it like
vehicle.
the only vehicle you can buy with exposed hinges? No,
All
no
the
I
Jeeps,
suppose like
all the
Jeep
Jeeps.
Wranglers.
Yeah, other than that's got to be it though. Jeeps and G-Wagons. Maybe they don't anymore, but they did.
Maybe that's why Jeeps are so
recently.
expensive.
Because they have exposed hinges.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't know the manufacturing process
Maybe
required
that's way harder.
for exposed hinges. Maybe that's
Maybe
the
it's
problem.
a lot harder to put a barn door hinge on the side of a door.
Maybe it is.
I doubt it.
People like that exposed, rough aesthetic, though.
Oh, I know.
That's the
But they
thing.
won't. They only want to drive it downtown.
As
You
a,
want to drive it
as a
outside.
construction worker, I think it just looks lazy.
Like the recycled barn wood and all that shit.
Well,
that's just
one of the real
hilarious.
popular things in Des Moines right now is rehabbing warehouses into apartments, and then they like all the conduit is exposed and shit like that. That just looks lazy to me. That's not cool. That's
For real.
lazy.
If you don't put a ceiling in, you can charge more per foot.
yeah,
that's
it's true.
the
It's
crazy
lazy. That's
The-
not cool.
The lofts downtown cost quite a bit more than the 2-bedroom townhouse I had.
part. Oh yeah, dude,
I'm-
that was more expensive to live in a loft downtown. It was a 2-bedroom. I'm using air quotes so nobody can see.
Yep.
The walls didn't go all the way up to the ceiling.
Nope.
So like you can't. I mean, you could live there with a significant other, but you can't live there with a roommate. Two
Not-
bedrooms with walls.
I mean, you
that
got to
don't
be
go all
real
up?
good friends.
I mean, you're going to learn shit about that person that you didn't want to know.
Yeah.
We need walls in relationships with
yeah,
friends.
I need walls in relationships with my
significant
significant other.
We need just every once in a while. We need a wall between us that
Yeah.
goes all the way to the ceiling.
Well, the ones downtown, I can't think what they're called, but yeah, the ceilings didn't go all the way up. Everything was exposed, and then instead of a bathroom door, they had the barn door that slid.
Yep.
So it didn't actually close. So there was a big gap.
yeah.
I don't know if he
There's a building in West Des Moines. It's like 4 stories tall, and the bottom story was supposed to be commercial, and they were having a problem keeping businesses in there, so they converted it to apartments. But the whole thing is glass.
Yeah, it's in that west. Remember where we did meet and greet?
It was right across the street from the meet and greet parking.
Okay. Yeah. I know.
It was one of those buildings right there on the north side. The whole first floor is apartments, and at least one of your walls, unless you're the unlucky son of a bitch on the corner, then half of your apartment is glass.
and you're on the first floor.
Facing a
Nope.
busy shopping district.
That's not an option. Can't do that.
It's just a weird look, man.
And that's all exposed conduit BS inside, too.
I don't mind the look. I'm okay with the look. I just don't want to pay more for it. I don't want to pay more
Because
for you to do
it's
less work.
lazy. Yeah, exactly.
That or the all cement floor. Like, oh no,
oh, that's the way
it's
these
cool.
are, too.
Yep.
Polished
I don't.
cement floors.
I don't mind
Yep.
polished
Yeah.
cement. Again, I don't mind polished cement. Just I don't. Well, polished cement's not the easiest
too
thing
cold.
to do.
It's too
It's
cold.
pretty cold, and it's not like the easiest process. I bet it's easier to lay carpet than
Probably.
like a real
Oh yeah.
concrete polishing where
Right.
you get the polish. Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of a bitch. But
What piece of paper are you flapping around?
this
over
thing,
there?
so this, I got this from. I got a registration renewal for a vehicle, and I got this thing with it. It's basically an
no.
advertisement, and it's what my car. Well, no, hold on. My car does what.org.
What? What is this?
So on this side that I'm looking at, it says it's got a picture of a car. It's the future. It's a
Okay.
blueprinty looking. It's very space age bullshit. It says stuff about backup camera, automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, lane departure, automatic parallel parking, blah blah blah. So basically, what this is an ad campaign from the Iowa DOT, National Safety Council, and the University of Iowa for explaining to people the safety features of their vehicles. So the state is spending money on this. So I had an initial reaction to this
Let's hear
and
it.
what I thought about. Do you want to hear that?
Yeah, I
instead of
wanna
what
hear
your
what your
reaction is?
initial reaction
My
is.
initial reaction was people are morons. Was my first
That's where
reaction.
that's
Okay.
where I'm sitting.
Yep.
From
Because
where I am,
because
that's-
apparently cars are safer, but people don't understand
yep. Why
they're safer
or
and
how?
it's causing some sort of problem because now we have to teach them how they're safer
Yeah.
because they can't figure that out on their own or read their own car manual or ask the salesman
That's
how their car is
yeah.
different. So now the state is spending money to tell people that their car is safer.
Wait till they have autonomous vehicles.
But if you go to this
freaking
website,
clue.
if you go to this website, there's a whole series of like videos. I mean, they put time, energy. There's research happening at the University of Iowa for this. There was like a whole thing with a cone course and an inflatable car that they were trying to fake crash into and all this shit. I mean, money, serious money, is being spent on this.
Okay. But we also just cut our education budget and are trying to take benefits away from teachers.
Well, okay, that's a valid point as well. I guess my point on this was I've softened on it a little bit because I realized not everybody's into cars or keeps up on cars. I still think.
Aren't most of those pretty common sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Like, I know what a backup... I don't need to be a car person to understand what a backup camera or lane detection is. Or blind spot
Or
monitoring.
like lane departure warning. Like,
Yeah.
isn't
I
that
don't-
pretty
I
self-explanatory?
don't need
Like,
to
that
be a
thing
car
beeps and
person
you're-
to understand those things.
I agree. I also don't think, like, why do you need to know you have automatic emergency braking?
And who
You should never, like, oh no, it's fine. I have automatic emergency braking. I'm gonna text. Like, what?
I don't need to pay attention. I have all these safety features.
Yeah, that or someone's going to get that and go, no, according to this website, I have automatic reverse braking.
Right, and then they're gonna crash.
then
I,
their
don't,
car.
Yeah.
I bet I don't have any of the things on that list on either
No,
of
no,
my
no,
vehicles.
no. So that I don't quite understand. There's two things here. I don't understand this.
There's a
Just-
drowsiness alert?
Yeah, Mercedes.
Yeah, there's a couple of high...
Are you on their website right now?
I am now, just kind of see what all these alerts are.
I just don't understand
High speed alert.
why.
I could figure that one out.
There was a conversation, and they're like, "This is a good idea."
My Audi had that, but you set the speed you wanted.
Oh, like you could be like, you get an alert when you're going 110.
Yeah, so mine was maxed out because I didn't ever want that to beep at
No,
me.
of course not. Why would you?
Yeah, but that was self-programmable.
Push button start.
That's on there.
That needs to be explained to people.
Yep.
Oh God.
For those that can't figure out what engine start button means.
So this is
It says
really
start on it.
this is really just a website about what your car may or may not do depending on when you purchased it and the options you selected.
This
Personally,
is not helping my grouchy level at all.
Nope.
I just want to know how much money they spent on this.
Too much. $10 is $10 too much. Whatever that cost them to print that was too much.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that that in some way this lets people off the hook from actually being
learning
responsible
about- yeah.
for their own vehicles and their own actions. You know what I mean? I feel like this is another
Well,
that's safety net.
I think that's kind of how I feel about all these safety
They're
features
also-
in general, though.
Well, yeah.
Kind of.
I actually I was going to talk about this later,
Which we still can.
about
We
an
can do it later.
experience I had this weekend and an epiphany I had while driving a certain vehicle.
Do you want to wait?
But yeah,
We can move on from
we'll
this.
get into that in a
I
minute
think
here.
enough's been said about that. If you're curious what your car does, I would suggest checking the manual and not going to this website.
Yes.
Think that's fair?
Because I think this will just confuse people.
I think it is confusing as well. Adam's got to blow his nose, so I have to make some shit up here for a few seconds
Stalling.
before we
Stalling.
transition.
I'm
into-
ready. Let's
okay,
do
all right,
this.
all right.
It's whatever.
Let's
You gotta
transition.
introduce it anyway.
Let's transition into Adam's opener, presented by Eyes Up Auto Art.
So, our two favorite things here recently have been picking apart lists and picking apart
And rotaries?
and
Oh,
picking
sorry.
apart Jalopnik,
Yeah. Okay.
or at least other, news outlets. So I figured this week we should do it again, right?
Just continue the
Let's
trend.
Let's just
continue the
start
tirade.
the list of people
I'm
that
grouchy.
hate us.
Let's do this.
All right, who are we shitting on this week?
So Jalopnik put out an article a few days ago. Actually,
Who are we
apparently-
shitting on
apparently
this
this
week?
is really
might be a segment.
apparently this is really
By
old
Grouchy,
'cause
negative Nilsson.
in my defense, we're all equally
28
to
or
blame
more?
to this.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Michael is just as negative about the stuff as you as I. So,
I want to hear what it is. I'm
but
waiting.
apparently this is not new. They must have just reposted it. But it is 10 cars every enthusiast should know.
Nah, I'm not. I'm
Okay.
already out. I don't.
And this it says here this is not a list of the greatest cars ever made. They're not claiming that. It is just a list of 10 cars that are too historically important for any enthusiast to not know.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, these like movie cars and shit?
No, they're just cars.
Just cars.
Cars people made at some point.
Models of cars that people made. Number 10, the BMW 2002 TII.
Okay.
Number 9, the
Wait. I don't know anything about that car.
You would. Art's got one. Art from.
Yeah, Art from
Vibrant?
Vibrant.
Oh yeah.
That's what they're
You-
doing
you-
the
you
header
know-
challenge.
That doesn't mean I know
right
anything
now.
about it.
Well-
Right. So it says BMW's new class sedans were really the first car that let buyers have their cake and eat it too, with great performance and reliability. It was arguably not the first sports sedan, but it did set the template.
Okay.
Oh,
So affordable, reliable, sporty, smaller cars.
kind of looks like a Datsun.
It's very similar to like a 510. Yes. Number 9, car that a previous guest actually owns, the Citroen DS. Which I
Man,
thought
we were
was,
2 for 2 on guests on this list.
That was a weird. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. But the Citroen DS is a very strange little car.
Not a lot of people know that car though, right?
Yeah, and
Like,
I don't-
you legitimately have to be an enthusiast.
I don't
to
know
even
that
know
I
about it.
I don't know that I agree with every enthusiast needing to know that it existed.
I don't-
to like better themselves as an enthusiast.
No,
It's cool. It's funky.
Yeah, it's weird.
It had a lot of like pretty advanced things for the time, but I don't know that I agree with every enthusiast needing to know it.
No, my life is no different if I had or not known it.
Yeah. The MGTC, which is a car I didn't know
there a
existed
picture
until
of
I
it?
read this story. It's
Oh.
kind of like an older roadster looking
Yeah,
thing.
who cares?
Yeah, so
file that under who cares.
apparently, if you love your Miata, you need to thank the MGTC.
Not the TC. It'd be the other MG.
That's
the
what I.
midget
Well,
or
this is
whatever.
before that car.
No, the was it the midget? Is that what
It
they're
is.
called?
I don't
Yeah.
know. It is a wood-framed roadster introduced sports car culture and road racing to the United States. Most of the cars at the first post-war road race at Watkins Glen in 1948 were TCs. The generation of American drivers that dominated racing in the 50s and 60s, Phil Hill, Carroll Shelby, Richie Ginter, all got their start in TCs. So they are historically significant, I guess.
Okay, fair enough.
32 Ford.
Okay.
That one I wholeheartedly agree with.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can
It
get
is.
behind that.
It is. The quintessential hot rod.
I was literally gonna say that word for word.
Boom. That one I can wholeheartedly.
I like how they
agree with.
picked the worst picture ever for it, though.
One of Robbie's favorite cars of all time, the Toyota 2000 GT.
I'll give you that one.
Yes,
a good
absolutely,
one.
wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's what arguably put Toyota on the map as an enthusiast brand.
Yes,
They've ruined it since then. But yeah,
I would
Yep.
hardly. It's difficult to go out on a limb and say that they are an enthusiast brand as of today, but the Lamborghini Miura,
Okay, I'll give you that one.
which
I
I don't know why, but I'm not as in love with this car as the rest of automotive culture seems to be.
I think it's just its significance because of it bringing Lamborghini like out there, even more so than anything in the past.
But I don't even think it's the most historically significant Lamborghini.
No, it's not.
I would argue with that because I think it is because prior to that they made GT cars, so that was the
Yeah.
first Lamborghini, first ridiculous Lamborghini. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Mid-engined insanity. So it set the blueprint for
It
the
says
rest
that
of
it
Lamborghini.
established the supercar genre.
So I'll get. Yeah, that'd be a good way.
Yeah, probably.
I suppose it is one of the early of like what we consider nowadays to be a supercar. That model, that mid-engine, big motor, flashy looks.
It set the
car.
measuring stick for supercars. Right out the gate.
Number 4, the Volkswagen Type 1 Beetle.
I guess. I
Yeah,
mean,
there
There's
are-
parts of it.
There are almost no car ever produced that is more historically significant than the Volkswagen Beetle.
Yes.
So, it's hard to argue
I mean-
with that. Not a fan.
No.
Don't really like anything air cooled.
No, but it's one of those vehicles
But-
that a lot of people learned a lot of automotive stuff
Yeah.
on.
And still are.
Yes.
Willie's Jeep,
yeah. Okay.
which I love.
Yep.
They're cool.
Give you that one.
Yep. The Mini, the original Mini.
Hell yeah.
Very
Love the
historically
Mini.
Pretty cool.
significant. And the 1916 Cadillac Type 53.
That seems very specific.
And the reason, apparently, if you're a Top Gear fan, you should already know this. I don't remember this episode. This was the very first car with a starter and a modern control layout, or an electric starter, I should say. An electric starter and a modern control layout, meaning gas on the right, brake in the middle, clutch on the left, steering wheel, that sort of thing. That is the car that set that standard.
Okay,
That was it.
I'll give you that one.
So
I guess.
those are what they list as the top 10 most important cars as an enthusiast.
As an enthusiast,
Well, yeah, that's what
is
they
that what
say.
the actual title was? As an enthusiast,
Oh no,
Every car enthusiast should know.
every car enthusiast should know.
So like just like it's more like people that are into like the history of cars.
10 cars that every car enthusiast should know.
It's like you love cars. I mean that's it.
I love cars, but I don't sit around talking about
The history of the
pre
electric
Type
starter and
53 control layouts for.
maybe we're
for
not.
but
automobiles.
it was significant because it set the standard.
True.
If that car hadn't been made, brake could have been on the left and gas could have been in the middle and clutch could have been on the steering column.
Sounds like Model T. Those are disaster.
Yeah, they're incredibly difficult to drive just because their layout is so radically different from what anybody's used to. So,
Fair enough. Is that it on that?
I don't know.
If somebody's got something to add
Yeah.
to the list, they
I
should go
think
to
there's
the group.
probably a ton of cars that are
Yes.
historically
Yeah.
significant.
Yeah.
The GTO being the first muscle car,
Yeah, that's a good one.
that's historically significant.
That's a good one.
That's a car that every enthusiast should know.
See, I might,
Type E
my,
Jag,
yeah, see,
SL,
my-
300 SL.
my default's always the GT40.
There's got to be a Nissan in there somewhere, some sort of Datsun.
Yeah, or even the GTR. I mean, obviously that's going to be like a fanboy thing, so it's too modern, I think. But for this type of article, it's got to be like 50s, 60s, earlier than that.
I would have tried to put the first muscle car in there, the 64 GTO.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good one to add. Honorable mention for
that's
sure.
a car that even if
Changed.
you're not a muscle car person, that changed the landscape of automobiles forever as an enthusiast.
Yep. Look how many cars we have now as a result.
We wouldn't have basically any fun thing that America makes right now
Yeah.
if it weren't for them.
And don't claim it's the Mustang, because this is my
It's
other
not.
favorite. It's not the
It's a-
Mustang.
it's a pony car,
It's a
not a
pony
muscle
car,
car.
and I've talked to people that lived in that era when that car came out, and that was like a secretary's car.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first year they came out, they were all V6s
Yeah.
or inline sixes, one of the two.
So it was kind of wet when I mean, not wet, but it was wet. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't lit,
Right.
fam. It was a dog.
Did you
when
know
it
that
first came out?
the first year that the Corvette came out, it was only available in a 6-cylinder and an
Yes,
automatic?
I did know that.
That was something I learned this weekend.
Why isn't the C1 Corvette on there? Could that be on there?
I don't know that it really set any precedent as being the first, and I don't think it's as significant as. I
The
would say
GTO.
it's more significant than some of the cars on that list, like the Citroen DS. I'm not really sure why that one.
Yeah, I don't think that needed to be on there.
No.
Unless
That's
it
a
had
car.
something to
That's
do
a
with-
car that's in the history books because it's so funky and weird and unreliable that it's kind of cool.
It's a funky French car.
Yeah, but it's kind of a terrible French car. Well, it's a terrible car. It's
It's
French.
a French car. It's a French
automatically
car.
terrible.
Yeah.
My bad.
It's a French car. But I think you could have put I think you could interchange that with the 2CV.
I was going to say, I almost think that the 2CV fits there better than the DS.
Yeah, that's very odd.
Not that when I think of sporting, do I think of 2CV, but
No. But what's the enthusiast draw to a DS?
I don't know. I already closed the article.
That's okay. I'm just wondering. Is it the technology? I mean, there's a lot of technology in it at the time,
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
or just being a radical design.
It's a very cool looking car.
It's a cool looking
I think
car.
they're sweet looking.
I think it's a cool car.
I would never go out of my way to own one, even if I was, affluent. If I was lucky enough to have that kind of money, it would not be high on my list. If one fell in my lap, I wouldn't turn it down, but it wouldn't be something I would seek out.
If you read Alex's book, I think the only reason he has one is because his dad claimed it was like the greatest car that you could buy in America. There was a really small window where you could purchase them here, and he always wanted one or had one, and it went bad or something, and then Alex bought the one that he has or had.
I think it's very difficult for him to find somebody who can work on it.
That's not ideal.
Yeah.
How much would it
There's
suck?
like 4 guys in the country that can work on that type of thing. That's not a good car to own.
and getting parts for it.
Yeah.
How much would it suck to live in New York City and not be able to work on your own car?
I think that
'Cause
that's
it's
a
not-
problem. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Even-
difficult to be a car enthusiast in a city. Period.
Yes.
Those crazy apartments that we were just talking about here in Des Moines. You couldn't be a car enthusiast and live in those.
No.
Not
You
unless
can't
you're-
work in your car on your car in the parking garage. That's not a thing.
No.
That'll get you evicted quick.
Yes, it will. Especially in those places because they want to appeal to a certain type
Yeah.
of individual.
When you're spending $2,200 a month on an efficiency, the last thing they want you to do is motor swapping your 240 in your parking stall.
Oh, I would.
Robbie would try
I
it for
would-
sure.
I would do it for sure.
Robbie would try it.
What are you doing over there?
None of your business.
Don't you worry about it.
Just changing the oil. What are you doing? Get out of here.
They probably would be like, I don't even know enough to argue with him. He might
don't-
actually be changing his oil.
Don't you know how these old cars work?
Bro, they don't even want you changing your oil. They don't want you even looking at your car.
No, if you have an oil stain, you're fine.
Why do you even need a car? You can walk to work.
See,
That's supposed to be the appeal of living downtown.
But if you
Because
don't
my argument is, imagine the house that a $2,200 a month apartment could buy you.
pretty impressive house.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
and you have equity.
Yes, I've lived on a gravel road now for almost 3 weeks. I don't understand how I ever didn't live on a gravel road. It's awesome.
Because
won't do
you
it.
drive
I'm
like a jackass?
Because
or-
because I'm so far away from everybody.
Oh, you're just
There's
tired
nobody.
of people.
Yep.
But you're
How
you're
far is it for you to get from the gravel to the nearest paved road?
1 mile. The shorter way is 3 miles.
That's just outside of my acceptable range.
I'll take the.
I understand that.
I'll take the 240 on it. It's not a big deal. I mean, they're nice gravel roads. This is Iowa, after all.
you went to the extreme though. You went from living in West Des Moines next to the interstate
Yep.
with like 100 units, 120 units, 140 units, something crazy like that, where people are just stacked on top of each other. I mean, you got your own unit. It's a walk.
You couldn't like you could hear
Yeah,
if you shut
all
the
the time.
TV off in Robbie's living room, you could hear the interstate.
That's why I had to leave. bro.
Plain as day.
It was
Yeah.
too much. That noise.
Yeah.
It's a weird noise.
It's one of the most major cross country interstates we have.
Yeah. 80.
Yeah.
Yep. It's that noise. It's too much for me. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
So you've flipped the whole other direction.
Oh,
You
yeah.
live in the country now, so it's a big difference.
I have no interest in being in the city.
Yeah,
In fact,
no, I get that.
being in Chicago last week, I'm like, you know what? I want to go home. I want my country road.
There's no appeal for you there.
None. 3 days was
The
almost too much.
It appeals to the other things that I like being in
Right.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Like the food, the drinks, the
The social aspect of it.
social aspect, the watches.
It's great when
the-
you're visiting there, but do you think you could do that every single day?
No.
You could be
But I wish it was closer.
grind.
I wish it was closer.
that. I don't.
I wish it was
disagree
like
with.
2 hours, not
Yeah, that'd be fine.
and not like a shit show as to whether or not you're going to be able to get in 45 minutes or 2 hours or
Right.
out for that matter.
Right.
Because I like it. It's just, I think me 5 years ago probably could have lived there, but life would have been a lot different. You buy an
Nevada's-
RX-7.
Nevada's as big as I could ever live in, and I think that's in the 3,000 to 4,000 person range, and that's as big a town as I will ever be able to handle.
Bro, who were we talking to at Grid Life and you told that to and they looked like they were going to have a stroke? Who was that?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
You guys were talking about how we don't, your town doesn't, wait a second, no. Nevada,
Yeah,
it's got stoplights.
I have
my
one stoplight.
my hometown
One, okay.
doesn't.
Yours doesn't.
Never,
okay.
right.
I'm trying to remember the conversation. Who was that? Who was that we were talking to?
I don't have
No,
the slightest clue.
wasn't it when we were sitting in Jabez?
It was in Brad V. Brad V.
Yeah, but I think it was just one of Jabez' buddies.
I think it was Cabot
It might
because
have
he's
been.
lived in Atlanta, right? And then
Yeah,
he
he's
lived
been in
in
Atlanta, but
Los
he grew up in
Angeles.
kind of a smaller town in Georgia.
may have been that dude from London. I don't know. You were blowing some people's minds. They were
Yeah.
really concerned.
Yeah, I have a stoplight.
They were like,
in my-
"Are you
in
okay?
Nevada.
Have you been around this many people before? Are you
Katie's
nervous?"
mom has to drive 45 minutes to get to the closest Walmart. That'll blow people's minds.
That's a little too far for me.
That's too much.
right.
I hate Walmart, but
Well, yeah, but like, there's probably one within 5 minutes of here, right?
yeah, like 2 probably.
Yeah,
Right.
right down the street.
exactly.
Yep.
Even in bad traffic, it's 10 minutes away.
Right, and that's annoying.
And
So fucking far away. Yeah, no, I get it.
she doesn't have any traffic. She might pass 3 vehicles the whole way and it's still 45 minutes away. It's a very different world.
Yeah, that's too much for me.
Nah, I'll take my townhouse or my country house 10 minutes outside the city.
Is there a Walmart in Norwalk or no?
I don't know. I don't go to Norwalk. I go to West Des Moines.
Oh, you just
It's
shoot straight up to West Des Moines?
Yeah, it's basically
All
the
right.
same distance
Fair enough.
or the same time. I guess it's probably.
Is it really? Is it that close to West Des Moines?
It's no longer for me to drive to work than it was living in the
Previously.
townhouse because that I have
Because that
half
fucking,
as many
that
stoplights.
fucking jog around thing that you had to do where you couldn't get to where you wanted to go. You could
I
throw
had
a
to-
rock at the road you wanted to be on, but you couldn't get to it.
You had to drive 5 miles around in a circle to get to it. Yep.
Interstate things.
Yep.
Again, that's
My commute is 3 minutes shorter because I moved out of Ames.
yeah, because you don't
Yeah,
have to drive.
10 miles away, but it's 3 minutes.
Yeah, but it's 3 minutes shorter.
Ames has some real traffic problems that we don't need
Yeah.
to get into today,
Trains and whatnot.
and like bad drivers and just bad traffic flow, not programming the lights correctly.
They're not.
A lot of problems.
They're all networked together with fiber, but they don't talk to each other. I don't get it.
Well, I was told that like 15 years ago, they brought in a specialist and had him program all the lights, and they've gotten out of sync since then. And they're just like, well, he was here. Yeah, I realized that he was here 15 years ago, but
I guarantee you, I could. It might take me 6 months, but I could make that town work so much smoother
for sure.
with a laptop.
it's you don't understand how important light syncing is until they're way out of sync
Right.
and they're completely fucked up.
Right.
I have a problem
And
with
they've done a couple of construction projects in the last 6 months that have made things worse.
that.
They added a median down the middle of Duff. Why did you do that?
I know. I saw it. I'm like, now you can't turn into.
Now you can't
The
turn.
businesses on the other
you have to
side,
go
on the
all the
left
way
side.
down and around. Why? Why would you do that on your main thoroughfare?
I don't know. It was somebody that went to school for traffic.
I should have been a civil
I
engineer.
know. I'm just saying.
Still can't be, Robbie. I still could be.
It's true.
The world
Start
is your
night
oyster.
Classes.
Yeah, man. You gotta start somewhere.
Right. Robbie's not selling me right now. His face. He's like, yeah, man, night classes.
I mean, you can if
Should do
you
that
want to
shit.
hate
Yeah,
your life.
you
You,
de-
you can
definitely.
totally
For
do
sure,
that.
man. You know, any joy that you have in your life, it's gone.
If you thought you were busy before, man, try night
Nah, it's
school.
worth it, bro. It's worth it.
It's not. Really regretting it.
Except now you're committed.
It's been 2 weeks.
You're
it's already
committed.
paid for, and I have to.
You're committed now.
So funny.
You're gonna have to do something drastic, Robbie, to get out of it.
No, I can't
You
get out
just
of it.
pay him back.
Nope. No,
That's the problem. It's the Masters of Engineering
It's
at Iowa
paid.
State. It's not.
it's no joke. Yep,
It's not cheap.
I
He's
have
a
to do
committed
it.
man now. That's right. You guys will see Robbie sometime in 20. What do you want to say? 2022? Perhaps.
I'll probably take a summer off of school and do stuff.
You take summers off, you think?
He's going to take
Or
a
a
summer
summer.
off between now and
So
2022.
fall of 2021,
Yeah.
he'll be available if you have any bookings for him.
Don't bother. I'll be trying to squeeze in all the autocross and track day and drifting that I can.
It's all right. Me and the Drift homies will just hang out and be degenerates. You can do your night class.
I'm just going to keep having a broken car that doesn't go.
Nah,
anywhere.
bro. You
Fix
convinced that
it.
you were going to fix it.
Yeah,
Real quick before I move on.
okay.
Before we get too far off, and I have to bring it back even further. Eyes Up Auto Art on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. As we've mentioned before, check out the work that he's done on any of those pages. Send him a DM if you're interested in commissioning a piece for yourself. He does custom work, so send him a picture of what you're thinking of. He can tell you what the pricing is going to be based on sizing or complexity. Really impressive work. As we've said before, and every time I look at his page, his work just keeps getting better and better. It's really just amazing. So get in there and send him a DM and figure out what he can do for you. Makes a great gift if you're looking for a gift for a car enthusiast in your life.
It's about ready to be thinking about gift giving season.
That's a good point.
It's true.
It's coming up soon.
So you better get your name on the list now.
Yeah, because he's
Because the
going to be
longer
for
you
sure
wait,
booked.
the less likely it's going to be.
He's going to pull a Cartman. Remember Cartman when he
No.
bought that amusement park? Do you watch much South Park?
Yeah, but not.
Oh, it's just falling down because you
religiously.
guys haven't seen that. Anyway,
I think I've seen it.
he buys an amusement park and then he won't let anybody in.
Yep.
And then like all these business analysts like CNN and stuff like that, they're like, he's an amazing business, the venture capital, all this shit. They're talking about how great he is because he's just it's an amazing technique where he's just not letting anybody in and it's increasing demand. And yeah, he's gonna pull a Cartman if you don't send him a DM soon. That's all I'm saying.
I was really just talking about, having the physical time to finish it before
That's
Christmas.
that is
But,
also
I
true.
mean, if he just wants to be a dick about it, he can do that too.
That too.
That's the
there's
joy
only
of being
so
your own
fast.
boss, I guess, right?
That's true, but there's only so fast that you can do
Yeah.
a painting. I mean, realistically.
Especially when
You
they're
can't
as
rush
awesome as
art.
these.
Yeah, don't all send him a message on December 1st. Try to space it out a little bit.
Start planning ahead.
I'm
People.
sure he would be appreciative of it if you sent him a message now for a gift that you may want to give in December.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, so what were car rant? Do you want me to do my thing, or you got an update, or what were you doing?
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
Look, I know that you have been really like putting in the hours on the FC, so let's hear.
Hell yeah.
Project update. We haven't done that in a hot minute.
Hashtag drifting has ruined my life. So I got to get the diff out of the Arc 7 because it's pretty slack. And I'm trying to figure out so I've got an open diff, but if I change to the open diff, I got to change the axles. I got to change the drive shaft yoke. And I have to change the input shafts to the diff. And I'm trying not to do all that shit just because it's a lot of parts and a pain in the ass. And
It does sound like a
not
pain in the
cheap for an open diff that I will eventually weld. So the end goal is to have a completely locked diff. There is a way on those clutch style diffs to lock them up. I got to get it out and investigate that though.
Isn't that like using spacers or something like that?
You can put
I think
spacers in
Aaron
them.
talked about that.
You can put spacers in them. I don't know. I might look into that a little bit more. It would be fine if it was locked up more of the time. It would be way better than it is now. But actually, anything with more lockup than I currently have would be better. So maybe that's an option. It's just putting spacers in it and throwing it back in. There is a way to weld an LSD. You basically weld the spider gears and then you weld it to the LSD casing. So you just lock everything all together.
That's really sketchy.
Actually, I think it would probably be a better weld, like a better welded diff than just a regular open diff that's welded because you've got more points of contact,
Surface area,
more
yeah.
surface area that's
Yeah.
welded.
Yeah.
And it's all the pieces on the FC diff are beefier on the LSD.
Right.
Like the input shafts and the axles
Yeah, you
are
said because
bigger.
you are kind of worried about twisting axles and stuff. weren't
Well,
you?
yeah. Yeah, even on the LSD, but Mr. Zach with the LS1 FC, he says that some of his friends have a little bit higher horsepower FCs and they break those input shafts. And the problem with that is that there's not really a great way to source those. There's like one company that has them, and I assume eventually they're
They
gonna stop
probably
making
know
them.
that.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but eventually, we're just gonna run out of diffs until somebody starts making something.
Ford 9-inch.
They do make an 8.8 conversion. I don't know who makes it. The carrier for it is $900.
Can that be independent still?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
it's pretty cool. It's cool, and it
Sounds
makes
like
a lot of
quite the
sense. It would be a sweet long-term project.
Sounds
just
expensive.
It's just really expensive. Yeah,
Right.
You're probably looking at. I mean, it depends on what you want to spend on the diff. You're probably looking at $1,500 to
Just put a
$2,000.
mini spool in it. It'll be fine. In that,
Yeah.
for sure.
Just do some more research and figure out if there's something else. But yeah, anytime it's one of those forum things where you're like, hey, I was thinking about, do an 8.8 conversion. It's great. Thanks for the help, dude. But like, I'm trying not to drop $2,000 on this diff in the next.
I spent
4
$3,000
weeks.
on the whole car. So
Yeah, I don't need.
Let's
That's
back
not
up a little
helpful
bit here.
advice. I will get there eventually, but just slow your roll, bro. So I got to figure that out. But I got that 6AL box in there.
Oh, really?
Trade you that carburetor, that Ferrari carburetor. Air quotes.
Does that work?
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's a lot of wiring and some stuff. I had to get some chips for it.
Can you Oh, I probably had those.
Ah, that's all right.
I don't know that I could have found them, but I know at one
Nah.
point I had them.
I think the chips are pretty cheap, so that's not a big deal. But
Right. The new one I have has dials, which is a much, much more intelligent design.
I know the one in the Camaro has dials too. It's a 6AL. It's
I
a
think that 6AL is probably 15 years old.
meh. As long as it multi-sparks and has a rev limiter. I don't even really care about the multi-spark as much as the rev limiter. That's more what I'm all about.
Right.
Just to manage that a little bit
Yeah.
because I don't think my tack is correct.
Where were you bouncing off the rev limiter?
Well, I run out of, oddly enough, on a rotary tack, I'm pretty sure I run out of gauge at 7,000.
Really?
Yeah. So
That doesn't seem like enough for a rotary
No,
engine.
it seems like that the red line is the
It's
end of the
last
gauge.
one,
Yeah.
which
or like right there.
really,
It's-
frankly, makes sense.
it does make sense. But I just don't think it's quite, it probably needs like a little resistor in it I need to put a timing meter on it and see what the actual revs are. Or, well, I should be able to look at it on the computer actually and see if the revs
Yeah.
are correct. But I don't I don't think it's right.
You just need a big old monster tack.
Yeah, I'll say if you're hitting 7,000 with
That's what all the cool kids do.
Everybody keeps telling me like, nah, bro, don't worry about it. Speedo, nah, don't worry about it.
I wouldn't.
I
How many times do you look down and look at that stuff? Who
When you're
cares?
drifting, you probably can't really look at your dash very much. They were telling
I
me,
can tell you from experience, Matthew Hines doesn't work because I was like,
and that's
not doing anything.
a well put together car.
Yeah,
all
I don't
things
think
considered.
it matters. You drive by sense of smell.
So,
you
well,
know?
the one guy, I can't remember his name. He told me like, nah, bro, you just need to correct your speed once you're in the drift. I was like, that makes sense. I probably need a handbrake to do that, but yeah, I'm with you. I understand what you're saying. I'm not good enough to do it. I'm just
No.
saying that I understand what you're saying. We'll get there eventually.
Give me a year or two. Let's.
He's like, mine's not worked in
Ever.
4 years.
This is
oh,
just
okay.
a shakedown to see if the car moves in a forward motion, and I can,
Yeah, now I'm like fixing
even
stuff
initiate.
like
Then we'll get there.
like the oil pressure gauge. I full YOLO'd that when we took that drifting.
You
I had
don't
no
really need oil
gauges.
pressure. I don't think
mine
it's
was-
as important as people make it.
I
out to
ran
be.
inaccurately for like what 3 years. I
I
had those
suppose.
X-Tune gauges that kept telling me I had 0 when I know full well I had a.
Yeah, those
Good
those
pressure.
gauges were a little concerning when we were shooting that video. I was
Well,
like,
and that SR, like, aren't those notorious for having shit oil pressure to
They have
begin with?
relatively low oil pressure typically, but I'd go and actually run an oil pressure test and everything would be fine. But
Right.
then the gauge would be like sitting at 0, and then if I put a load on it because it was all electric, they'd all just drop down to 0, or the temp gauges would all go sky high.
yeah, his gauges would do like a
They'd bounce to the music.
Christmas thing all of a sudden when
That's what happens when you buy the
Flashing
cheapest thing you can find
Yep.
on eBay, Robbie.
Yep.
bro, you got to get those Speedway.
No.
Speedway
Autometer.
specials.
Autometer.
Speedway.
Our Autometer make a carbon fiber dial.
I didn't get that. I got the.
Robbie.
I like the ones I got. The ultra lights or whatever they're called. Super lights. I can't remember.
Oh, I put my Innovate wideband in.
Yeah.
I got from Josh 2 years ago.
Josh, because I hung out with Josh a bunch this weekend, and he's like, Michael tagged me in that, and it took me like 5 minutes to understand why, because it's been so
Your gauge,
long
bro.
that I forgot I even sold it to him.
I thought for sure I lost all the parts to that. It's one of those things where there's a lot of times I'll be looking for something for that car. I'm like, that's gone. It's in here somewhere, but it's also gone.
It has to be
Right.
gone.
There's so much Fiat. There's like, you go into the shop, there's RX-7 parts, there's small block parts, there's Fiat parts, and then there's like a whole bunch of wheels and tires and shit. And it's like it's organized, but I'm still not gonna be able to find it. I've given up on screws. Fuck it. I just if it fits in there, it fits. Otherwise, I'm gonna get some different screws.
Yeah.
Don't take your interior apart and then plan on putting it back together 2 years later because it's not a good look.
I
They were
have long
labeled
said,
backs even.
especially with interior parts. If you put it all together and you don't have leftover bolts, you did it wrong. You've just made your car lighter, is really what it amounts to.
Robbie's giving you a look right now.
Yeah, my engineering mind's going, no,
It needs this.
it needs those.
It doesn't need
Someone
those.
load tested it.
See, the thing is, especially with interior, it needs those to be quiet.
Oh, yeah, we don't worry about that.
We don't
Just
give a
pull that
shit about
out.
that
Yep.
anymore. That all it needs to be is there.
You can fix
now.
it. Just fix all that with like glue and
Bro,
stuff.
I just want to be able to pull the door handle and not have it come off of my hand. You know what I mean? That's all really. It just needs to pull the door
It's the
shut.
little things, right?
Yeah, that's all really, and like not cut my arm on, the door or something. That's it. That's all the interior really needs to do.
Not bleeding is important.
Sometimes, yeah. Typically,
Yeah.
but I think that's it. There's like a whole list of stuff, and I posted it on my Instagram account. Like one of which was overheating. But then I was like, bro, this is a drift car. You can take the hood off. So that's my plan.
Yeah, it's all good.
Just take the hood off
Sometimes that
Shit goes
doesn't
wild.
necessarily mean it's going to cool better.
when it's sitting.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll help.
It won't hurt.
Yeah, I can't hurt anything.
And if you're not really overheating it,
No. It just doesn't like sitting. And
Just
previously I
overheating a
couldn't,
little bit's not a big
yeah,
deal,
it
right?
just gets kind of hot when it sits there
I
for a
couldn't
long
shut
time.
it off and restart it.
that was the
there's
big
a
problem is you
resistance.
couldn't restart it.
Yeah.
Have you figured that out? Does it seem to
Something's
start
causing
better?
resistance at the starter. I'm not getting a full 15 volts at the starter or 14.7 volts at the starter. So something's
Bad
causing
grounds or something?
Yeah, something's causing some resistance at the starter. So hopefully fix that. Should fix that hot restart issue. Because it just didn't feel like it had enough power to hot restart. So that should fix that. And then, yeah, I got plans for this winter. Do some stuff. But
I remember plans for the winter. They never happen.
You gotta be willing to go outside into the cold.
It's not that, Rob. I just don't have any money.
Bro, Amigo, you got to do Robbie's, what did I call it earlier? Black Friday,
Black Friday.
annual Black Friday
Blowout.
blowout.
It is really an annual thing now. I'm like, oh, I need this, this, and this. Well, I'll just wait till November.
Oh, put it on the list.
Yep.
Put some money in savings.
Yep. Start
Get
putting
ready.
away.
Black Friday, bam.
Treat, it like an HSA. Just keep putting money into it until Black Friday.
Robbie's 240 HSA.
Yep. Oh, that's pretty good. I should do that.
Just label an account.
It's my fun
I
money.
feel like we could start a business with that, helping people.
Your race car HSA.
Race
we take
car
money out
savings
every
account.
paycheck and then
Oh yes,
Yeah,
it's
and we'll
brilliant.
stash it for you.
yep.
Well, 1% interest or something.
For catastrophic events or for fun.
Yeah.
Track days, tires, all that fun stuff.
I got a power steering pump. Haven't put it on yet. Haven't had time.
Where'd you get it from?
I just bought from Advance.
Oh, okay.
It's just a remand. It's nothing.
I don't know if you bought a fancy one.
No, I bought something with a warranty.
So you can take it back.
So that when it doesn't work, I can take it back and get my money back.
Oh, so I did buy some open diff axles, which I may send back if I don't do anything with that open diff. They have a lifetime warranty on them.
Ah, nice. Are these the ones that
There
you
you
ground
go.
up?
This 130 horsepower rotary.
It's twisting axles.
Yeah, just
all the time.
I don't know what the deal is, man. It's weird. Nah, I'll just buy new axles.
No.
But still funny.
But I'm disappoint some people that always like the whine of my power steering
Your
pump.
supercharger?
My
Your
supercharger.
supercharger. It's awesome, Robbie.
I'm really happy to not have that. So not this weekend, but the next weekend, I'm hoping to get that fixed. Or I'm going to go your route and just have a
Just pull it
hydraulic.
out of your garage and have it blow up in the.
Yep, just have a hydraulic cooled belt tensioner. No more.
Bro, it's the new thing.
That's what. If this doesn't work, I'm done.
I told
don't
someone
care.
to do it literally this week on the Facebook group. Like, bro, you just got to loop
You're
that.
right, yep, don't bother.
Take
Just
the veins out of the pump, loop it, loop your rack, leave your reservoir.
to heck with it.
Just leave all that shit in there. It'll be fine.
Tech tip right there. 1010's tech tip.
Take that pump apart. It's wild in there.
I'll
Some
bet.
crazy shit going
I'll
on in
bet.
there.
If I take it apart and then kind of like smash it all back together and then bring it to the store and say, "Here's my core charge," is that going to go over very well?
Oh, they don't give
dude,
a shit.
They're gonna
no?
take that. They're gonna take that
Because it'll
vein
get
out anyway.
remanded either way.
Ah, cool.
The thing is,
I suppose they're not going to look
It's not like
inside
they're going to
either.
put it back
Yeah.
on the shelf and just sell it to the
No.
next guy. They're going to remand
But if I bring it to them
so-
in pieces, are they going to go?
Well, don't bring it to them in pieces.
well,
Put
at
the
least
case
put
back
the
together.
case back together.
I can do that.
That vein thing, at least on mine, is it's like a cylinder, and it's got these vertical recesses in it.
Yeah.
And then the veins are just like they look like like a razor blade, like the old school razors that you would
Yeah.
use in a razor blade to shave your face. They look like those, but solid, like a solid square, about that same size. And then they slip into that cylinder, and then that cylinder does kind of a rotary thing where it kind of bounces around inside of an
Yeah, yeah.
oval, and those veins come in and out, and that's what compresses it. It's really fucking weird. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
You may have to look it up, but it's really weird. It's not. I thought it would be like I guess in my mind when I thought about like a vein, I thought about like a turbocharger vein. Mm-hmm. It's not like that.
Oh.
It's that weird cylinder with basically rectangles coming out of it, and then it spins around inside an oval, and that's how it compresses.
Well, hot damn.
It's kind of bizarre. So you just take those blade-looking things out, smash it all back together, and
That's option B. So hopefully I don't need to do that.
hopefully it
Hopefully it was just a
quiets down.
Yeah. Hopefully it was just a dud power pump or power steering pump.
But we talked about this. This is a LS swap problem, right?
Yeah. I think so. Or it's a LS problem. The power steering pumps are noisy.
GM power steering pumps make like 20,000 psi or something like that.
Because
Piss
GM
off.
cars are really heavy, and it probably takes a lot to turn them.
Yeah.
It's a GM thing. It's,
You're
it's not
30
designed to be in a 2,200 pound car.
Your 3,500
car. or whatever.
3,500 pound
Yeah, Camaro.
Trans Am needs a little bit more assistance.
You know what are known for being light? Caprice cop cars. I mean,
Bro, come on. Caprice cop car is where it's at.
what did you expect? So,
Very true.
So,
So I think that's all I got for project updates. If
all I
we
got.
do that autocross at Iowa Speedway on the 17th,
yeah.
hopefully, the Fiat is ready. It's just a matter of if I'm ready to not work on the RX-7 that day. Are you going to that, Robbie?
I have no idea.
You don't know yet? Depends on
Like the only thing that I'm actively trying to make it to is the next drift event.
October
6th and 7th.
6th. Yeah, that's right. 6th and 7th. So if you guys want to do a meet and greet
I'm going.
and you're in the Omaha area or want to drive out there for some reason, We'll at least be there on the 6th. Or is it the 6th or is it
Yeah.
the 6th a Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be there on the 6th for sure.
Yes.
Don't know if we're staying
Maybe
both
not
days.
on the 7th. Nah, I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see as we get closer.
Okay. I know I will be, or I'm planning on being at September 17th. I don't know if I will be there with the Omni. I have had more than one person who has offered me a co-driving spot, so I'll be driving something if I'm not driving my own car.
We could do a 2/3 of 10/10 meet and greet.
I had originally
Newton.
planned on just parking the Omni and giving up on it for the season, but some things have slightly changed, and maybe that might not be the case. So
That'll be awesome.
We'll
to
see.
out there.
I make no promises.
It's always easier to wreck somebody else's car. You know what I mean?
Because autocross is usually where people are wrecking cars.
It happens.
It has happened, though.
It happens.
Has
Yeah,
happened for Des
that's
Moines,
fair.
too.
That's fair.
But wreck is in, like,
Right.
ruin their tires.
Well, I
and
would
their brakes.
like Chaz needs to redeem Miata-ness to me. Because last time I drove his Miata, I had such overwhelmingly positive things to say about it. As anybody who's listened to episode 14
12
or
or
whatever
whatever.
it is, Adam crashes a Miata, knows it had a glowing review of how great I thought it wasn't. So
Well-
maybe an Ecotech.
Yeah, I was going to say slow your roll, bro.
Right.
I think
Maybe-
he solved the Miata problem.
So that has yet to be decided.
I think it's going to be fucking hilarious.
Apparently, according to him, that thing is really, really quick.
I would not
Like
be.
in a straight line, even.
Oh, yeah. I would not
Because
be.
it's
surprised.
totally gutted. Like, there's not even a dash in it anymore. There's no carpet in it. There's just 2 seats in the passenger compartment. That's it. And it is roughly double the horsepower and a good bit more torque. Apparently, that engine's a good bit torqueier.
And it's all NA.
NA.
Yeah, if it wasn't bolted down, actually, even if it was bolted down, Chaz took it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He removed it for sure.
He unbolted it.
It's
He
pretty
removed
amazing.
It. Yeah. It's
bet
a
it's-
ridiculous.
It doesn't even have a
car.
hood prop, for God's sakes.
Does it not?
That's a lot of
Check that
extra
out.
weight, Robbie.
No, because remember at the car show, he's like, oh shit, I don't have my hood prop. So he stuffs his helmet under there, so he holds it open a little bit.
That's hilarious. It's pretty
Classic
sweet.
Chaz.
It's pretty sweet, though. I'd dig it.
Yeah.
It's a good swap.
So
Yeah, should be fun.
Well, I guess you can report on that then if you get
yeah,
to.
I mean, if you're not going to LS swap, at least stay in the GM family.
Right, yeah, just GM engines.
Yeah. at
Cars
least-
are a little meh
yeah,
sometimes.
but they make decent engines
they
for
make some-
swapping into things.
Yeah. Get a Japanese car, put an American engine in it.
Or a European car. We're not.
Yeah, if you have a
We're
BMW,
equal
perhaps.
opportunity. Swap the world.
Yeah, just all GM across the board. I'll even throw in an EcoBoost. Or
Have
Hemi.
not really seen that being done.
I think that they were thinking that 2.3 liter EcoBoost, that would be like a thing. People would swap that into stuff.
They haven't put it in a car that would be affordable enough to start pulling it out of yet.
I'll give you that. Well, you can buy them as a crate, Adam, and
Can
it's-
you?
Yeah, I think it costs as much as an LS3, but yeah, it's kind of hard to justify that.
Gonna put it in my Fox body or something. Make them.
A new age SVO.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be have to be a lot cheaper.
It needs to be. Yeah.
But I think you can get an LS3 for like $7,500. But I don't think you can get a 2. I think a 2.3 liter EcoBoost crate engine's like $7,500. Maybe I'm wrong, but
6,500.
six. Oh shit! Never
Well,
mind. It's a bargain.
I retract all previous
Yeah.
statements. But I don't think it's going to be a popular thing anytime
It just
soon.
needs to be a lot cheaper.
I don't know. Like, what would I put that in? They need to start mass producing it in more vehicles, and make it more reasonable. Like that's the thing. The Ecotech is such a great swap motor because it came in like
Everything for a while.
like 24 different cars in various things, and then everybody figured out if I take this block and that head and that intake manifold and that exhaust manifold, and I put them all together and I can make this. And that's why they're such great motors.
Yeah, that's why GM motors are popular.
Yeah. You put it in your two $40,000+ performance cars and then think, oh, everyone's going to swap this into everything. That's not how that's going to boil down.
I agree.
So,
V8s are still too cheap.
word up.
What were we talking about? Was that it for Project Cars?
That's all I got for
Okay.
I
mine for
haven't
now.
done anything.
So yeah, if you guys want to come hang out, maybe on the 17th, We're gonna have to decide pretty soon because it's the 6th today.
I'll
So
be
we'll have
there.
to figure it out
I mean,
next-
I'll be there. I just don't know what I'll be driving.
Figure it out soon. We'll make a post about it. How about that?
Yeah. We'll share it on the Facebook page and update you on who's coming. And
That
who's
would be
not.
in Newton, and then our blowout for the year will be October 6th.
Yeah, that'll probably be the last like real event.
Yeah,
We have not done very good at getting to things this year.
yeah.
Free podcast, keeping us busy.
Just working for you guys, slaving away.
It's true.
Sometimes a lot, but at least one. I should say at least one person we've not really interacted with much said he's going to go to Odriff, so that'd be sweet.
Cool. So
Shall we move on to the next thing?
Yes.
Adam, you went to SCCA.
yeah, so this is my 4th year in a row now. It's kind of become a tradition. I go to the Test and Tune Day on Monday for SCCA Solo Nationals in Lincoln, Nebraska. It amazes me every single time that I go there how ridiculous it is. You just, it's the largest participant motorsport event in the world.
That's in Nebraska.
Right. 1,300 registered participants.
Wow, that's a
Holy
lot.
crap.
That's not 1,300 cars. A lot of
Sure.
people there co-drive cars, but there are 1,300 registered drivers.
Fair enough.
And I would be shocked if any other like participant number at any other motorsports event is even half that. You know,
I
that's
can't-
a
I
lot
can't
of
think of
drivers.
anything,
That's a
you know.
lot of drivers.
Sort of like, well, even like a rallycross.
Well, like, I
I
don't know.
can't even think that they
like
would be that big.
SCCA runoffs, I think has a lot of people, but I don't know that 600 people's, 6 or
Sign up for
700 people. I don't know, but anyway, it's really interesting. One of the things that I find awesome about that event, like, so it starts. Technically, it started like Thursday or Friday of the week before, and goes all the way through the Friday after Labor Day, and they have stuff that you can go to every single night. They have like a talent show, and there's a number of sponsors and vendors that do dinners and stuff like that. One of the things I think is really cool about it, there's a lot of times you'll get regions or states that will paddock together, and then they'll make like these big tent city areas. They'll kind of corral their trailers around and then put
A canopy over
a
it.
canopy over the whole thing. And like there was one that had a big flashing arrow sign that said beer garden on it. And like apparently the place gets buck wild and crazy at night. Like they're serious about their racing all day, but then they get real serious about their drinking at night. I guess it's quite the deal. And it's really interesting because it creates such a different atmosphere than you would find at most any other motorsport event.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun outside of the racing itself. There's a lot of people, because you got to do something to justify driving from California to Nebraska for like 6 minutes of track time.
Yeah, you got to be able to party.
So they apparently
It's got to be an event.
They party.
It's got to be a destination.
Yeah.
But they do like tricycle autocross, apparently like
What?
like a real short course, and they'll do it on like big wheels
We should have done that.
and just like silly stuff, and it sounds awesome. I think it's one of those things that like I almost wish I could take the week, and even if I didn't compete, just go and experience it, because there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
And the amount of race car overload is beyond comparison.
Did you see any NSXs this year?
There was that NSX was there again
Same.
this year.
Maybe the same one.
It
Same
was-
people.
It looked very much this. Well, yeah, it was with Honda of America Racing or whatever, that HART they call it, HART. So it's some Honda sanctioned thing.
Weird.
They have their pro drivers and all that stuff. But this year we had a friend of ours, Josh Jones, the guy who we had talked about a few weeks ago. He was the one who won All-American Sunday with his bone stock Fiesta ST. He went out to Nationals this year. First time he's ever been at Nationals. H Street, which is one of the more hotly contested classes. I just messaged him before we started here. So he got 19 out of 38.
Pretty damn good for your first time.
Which
That's
it's
really good.
super. That to me is super impressive and very respectable to be mid pack in what is one of the most tightly contested classes. He said when I talked to him yesterday, he was 17th, and he was 0.3 off of being 10th.
Oh my gosh,
That's amazing.
That's how tight that class is.
that's
0.3 of a second bumps you up 7 places. So, and top 11 trophies. But he was saying, and this was something we kind of talked about before we started the show, and I didn't really want to elaborate on it too much, but he was saying that, and when we went and did one of the, we walked one of the courses. There are
Yep.
2 courses. There's an east course and a west course there. We went and we walked one of the courses, and Josh was also saying this, the racing that we get to do locally, the lots that we're racing on and stuff like that, like one course there is literally bigger than the entire lot, paddock included, of any place we get a race on here.
Oh, I
And
got
so the size of and the space and the sheer distance and much, much higher speeds is so radically different than anything we ever get a race on here that it's really hard if you're good here to adjust to that there.
you. Right. Yeah, because like here,
They're a lot more like a track. They're not like super tight technical courses. They're really open, they're really fast, they're really flowy. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those higher end classes, like some of those mod cars, are tickling triple digit speeds regularly on those courses. They're huge in comparison to anything we've ever done here. So,
yeah, I was trying to figure out how many square feet that huge, gigantic parking lot is.
it's they don't even use all of. They just section off a portion of it. I
Right.
mean, they aren't even a paddock for 1,500 people, and 2 would have got to be multiple acre sized courses and a 3rd practice course, and they're not even using that entire pad.
That's insane.
It's a huge.
I've driven
pad.
past it multiple times.
If
I've
you
never
stand on
even-
one end, you can't see
The
where
end.
it ends.
because I didn't realize.
Contrary to
how
popular
big that
belief,
was.
there is a curvature.
It's flat, bro. It's been engineered in to trick you into. You know why they tell you that anecdote?
Oh God, here we go.
It's because they're a bunch of roundo shills. That's why. Getting paid by the government for that bullshit. They engineered that curve in.
Man.
I never would have guessed that the tracks were that much bigger.
Well, and I think that the big thing is that they're much, much faster.
Yeah, of
They
course.
don't make them because, they aren't worried about, like here we have to kind of control your speeds to make sure that you're not driving too quickly to be able to catch your car before you hit a curb. You
right.
know,
That's
There,
wide open.
the closest curb is a mile away, so they can do whatever they want. There's no course design thought into safety. It's just built. It's however you want it to be. And the modern day nationals courses are much more like road courses that you do a lap on. They're huge
Makes sense.
and they're fast. I bet I'd be 3rd gear almost the entire time in the Omni.
Damn.
It'd be a lot of fun.
That would be a good time.
Nebraska region races there very, very regularly. I talked to like Josh Fettis. He goes down there and races with the Nebraska region semi-regularly. They don't usually, their courses aren't quite national size, but they are much bigger than anything we'd ever get around here. And the other thing is that apparently that concrete is just some other world level of grip.
I remember people have said that
It's
like they hate when it gets late July, early August, they want to be doing autocross on cement.
only, and apparently Lincoln is even more grippy than a lot of concrete, and so that also changes
Yeah,
a lot.
if it's grippier than you're used to, it's going to throw
Right.
you off a little bit.
Right, you can drive harder than you think you can.
Yeah.
So
They mark the course out there.
yeah,
They chalk the whole thing.
oh yeah,
Just saying.
yeah.
It's been
I don't know.
hotly
Our local
contested.
region does not even do like. I've seen some places they'll do a line down the middle, and by like the second run group, that line is gone. But at least it was there to start with.
Yeah.
We don't even get that here. So, what was I going to say? Lost it.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I've never had that outlined course, so I don't know if it bothers me that much, but I could see from a beginner's perspective that would make a huge
I think it
difference.
lays out a course in your mind a lot easier.
I think so too. I mean, you could make the argument that it's more technical if you don't outline it, and therefore maybe you're reading the cones a little more, blah blah, and not concentrating on the line being your line, and then choosing your line based on where the cones are laid out. You could probably make that argument, but locally at a regional level, you need to be appealing to beginner to right in between beginner and intermediate. I mean, that's really where you need to be for course design.
One of the arguments I've heard about the lines is that you don't have to stay inside the line. You just have to stay inside the cone.
Yeah.
Being outside of the line is not being off course. And to a new person, they might not understand that. And they might think that those lines are that is my track and I have to stay inside of it. And so they might end up being slower because of it. And my argument to that is I would rather be a little bit slower and know where the hell I'm going more easily than not have a fucking clue where I'm going and DNF 6 out of 6 like I did my first run.
Right. And then, in the next driver's meeting when they go, hey, you don't have to be inside the white lines, you'd be like, oh, all right, no problem. I don't have to do that anymore.
That's literally one sentence in the driver's meeting, and that problem is solved. Hey, lines are suggestion. You can pass them as long as you're inside the cones. The cones are the course. The lines are a guide.
Yep. I understand it's a pain in the ass to chalk the course. I get that.
Sioux Falls uses, like, you go to a bakery, like a bakery supply shop, and they buy giant bags of flour, and usually by the end of the day, it's blown away already. Because that's the other argument with chalk, is that it's there. And some places might not want that there. Flour, it's gone.
Smart.
That's what they use.
How do you apply the flour?
Well, there's
You got that baseball line
just like,
maker.
Yeah, that's what they use to apply the chalk. It's not somebody out there drawing it on their hands and knees. They have that cart that you just push
it.
and the flour flows out of that just like the powdered chalk would.
Fancy.
But it blows away a lot easier.
Yeah.
And if it, even if there is some left, it's gone by the next day.
Interesting.
And I think it was actually cheaper by the pound, if I remember correctly, because I think that was their original reason for switching to it, is that it was either more readily available or cheaper.
Yeah, so you go to any grocery store and be like, all right, I'm buying all the flour. It's got to be really easy to get.
The other thing that I've seen them do differently that is an interesting thing, they use like scraps of sheetwood or of sheetrock to chalk the boxes for the cones.
Meaning who?
You just Sioux Falls.
Oh, Des Moines does, or maybe Des Moines doesn't do it, but Iowa region.
Is that what they use?
They use sheetrock, yeah.
Yeah, that's way easier than using those little sticks of sidewalk chalk.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody's always got some sheetrock scraps lying around.
Like guaranteed there's at least a construction employee who can get you some
sheetrock
on
scraps,
the regular.
Yeah.
How much would you like? I'll get you some this week.
Agreed.
So.
Any other major differences?
The atmosphere is totally different.
Laid back?
You'd think that it'd be real serious, and maybe it's just because I'm there on test and tune day. I've never actually been there for a day of competition.
I can't imagine it be that dramatically
But
different.
it seems real relaxed and chill, and the focus is on having fun. Every year they have themes.
Really?
Yeah, like this year it's called Cone Wars, and like their shirts had like R2-D2.
Of course they did.
In the
Why
shape
wouldn't they?
of cones, and just funny things like that. And
that
so
was
they're
that
like,
thing that William Shatner was in, right? And they had that disc that they flew around. That's
exactly.
The one? Okay, I was just making sure.
Dick. But
It's a Disney character now. It doesn't matter.
Battlestar Galactica, I think.
Now she's a Disney princess. But so like people would have their golf carts and they'd have like what like look like jet packs bolted like applied to the side of them so that they look like land speeders where they'd put aprons around the wheels that are black so that it looked like it was floating, and just random shit like that. It was cool. And just people are trying to have fun with it. It's a very different feeling.
It is a different feeling. We should be striving to do that at a local level.
Like, I understand we can't theme individual
Yeah,
events.
no.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't even know that we need to have tricycle autocrosses before or after. Maybe once or twice a year. Especially because they have that Iowa Challenge thing we do every year. That's a 2-day autocross extravaganza.
Oh, they should for sure do a tricycle race.
They should do that at the end of so you get your
Saturday night?
Saturday runs done. But it doesn't get dark till 9 o'clock. But we shut them down at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Let's do
Tricycle racing.
tricycle or big wheel racing.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Or have everybody bring their kids out with their Power Wheels.
Yeah. That'd be good times.
I've often wondered, when my son's 3 or 4 years old and he's old enough that I can go racing with him again, do you think the region would care if I just set him out there while people are doing course walk in front of me, in his Power Wheel? If he's out there in his Power Wheel GT3 RS, slaloming?
I don't think anybody would care.
As
Not-
long
as long as he doesn't crash into anybody,
right,
I don't think
right.
anybody cares. So I learned something this past weekend because I spent some time with DMVR,
Event coordinator, isn't he?
yeah. So I learned that. So we've had discussions about how to grow the region locally and ways to go about doing that. They cannot legally advertise.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's frustrating.
which explains a
Aren't
lot.
they a non-profit?
Yeah, and therefore they cannot legally pay to advertise.
So the group in Sioux Falls that I know found out that because they are a nonprofit, they can go to a radio station and get free advertising time.
So as long, okay, so they're not paying for it. So then it's
Right.
legit.
So you could have, because Randy's a pretty fun guy, he's a pretty personable guy.
Yeah,
Him and one or two, maybe probably just one or the other uppers that are real personable guys, they could approach the radio station and they could probably get on the Morning Moose show on the rock station. Our local morning rock DJ
Yep.
show. And they could talk about autocrossing and then advertise the next event and send people towards the website. That's free. And
Yes.
radio stations live on that sort
they
of
need
stuff.
content for sure.
Because it's easy content.
Yep.
And it's locally interesting, so that's good for them.
Yeah, they should do that on the next, not the Adventureland in October. So I think that's a little bit of a hard sell because it's pretty late in the year. Right. But the one in April or March, they should do that for that one. But that would explain why they don't do paid advertisement, but Facebook ads or anything like that can't do any of that.
I've also heard that because as an SCCA member, you get discounts when you purchase a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
If you go buy a brand new Volkswagen, there's a pretty substantial discount for being an SCCA member. And I have heard that some of the SCCA regions will work with their Volkswagen dealers to encourage people to go. You show up with this Volkswagen and a little slip of paper, and we'll waive your fees for your first event. You could do that with any dealership. You could do that with the local Subaru dealership.
Yep.
You could do that with the local Mini dealership. You could do that with local whatever. You show up at this autocross, you bought your brand new car, we'll waive your first event's fee. Stuff like that, because that's free. That's not illegal.
Yep, it's true. As long as it's free. You're not getting a kickback or anything.
Right.
It should be legit. So, I know we talked about it previously. That made a lot of sense when he said that. I hadn't thought about it. I would have thought I mean, as long as you're not actually acting for profit, as long as you're giving that money away somewhere, maybe putting it into street survival, it would be fine, but I guess they'd still say no. Because you could, I could make the argument, well, okay, so you make an advertisement and maybe you make money off of it from the sake that, okay, you put in $500 in advertising and you bring in another $1,000, let's say, of revenue from entries. Well, then you take that $500 profit and put it into street survival or expense it somewhere, and, it's still a nonprofit. in my mind. But apparently 403C guidelines don't allow you to do that.
Bunch of fun haters.
You learn something new every day. That was a new thing I learned. But yes, there are some. We could also say that we should be doing those things, meaning we're part of the region. And
I'm not even currently an SCCA member, so
oh, for real?
I let it lapse because it's
Oh, you did let it lapse. I
kind of
remember that.
annoyingly expensive and only can be justified if you make it to enough events. And I knew I wasn't going to, so I just let it lapse.
I get that.
I'm not proud of that. I really would have liked to have stayed and supported my region, even if I'm not racing, but I just didn't really have the money, and so I didn't.
Nope. I understand that. It is, if you do the math, you have to go to everyone
I mean,
to make it work.
you really shouldn't think of it that way.
No, you
should
shouldn't.
think of it as being part of something greater, not
and supporting
I'm
your
a
region.
member of this because I want to save money on my racing.
Yes.
It's more being a part of the group, but unfortunately, that's where I am financially a lot.
Understood. So,
So
I understand that. So, anyway, we won't point any more fingers at anybody. Was that it for nationals?
yeah, I got one other real quick thing I kind of want to talk about. Shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. I know Robbie's probably getting antsy over there.
I am.
Looking at his
Robbie's
watch.
looking at the timer.
But so this weekend, Labor Day weekend in my hometown is a big. They call it Celebration Days. It's a big deal in my hometown. And every Sunday night before Labor Day, they have a car cruise. And I've probably been to that car cruise.
I've been to that car.
I don't know that I've missed one in the last 15 years.
Oh damn.
You know, that's been my thing for literally half my life. So this year I was getting ready to go. My mom had been so gracious as to offer to watch Logan so that Katie and I could go and do something together because we haven't really been able to do anything without him since he was born. So like, yeah, sure, but we had the Focus, which isn't exactly the most interesting,
not the cruising vehicle.
if I'm honest. So my dad's like, oh, just take one of my vehicles. It's fine. It's no big deal. I got lots of them. So I was kind of thinking like, oh, I could take the Formula, that'd be fun. I could take the Firehawk. That'd be pretty cool. But those are both kind of quick, and the cruise night has a kind of a reputation for bringing in lots of morons with F-bodies and Mustangs, and I just didn't really want to deal with people trying to drag race me while I'm cruising around in my dad's car. I don't want to be that guy, right?
I get it.
So I was like, the Scout. That's like literally the slowest thing on the planet.
I for sure would have taken the Scout.
And so that's what we did. We took the Scout, top off, wide open.
Yeah, it'd be fun. That's a way to cruise.
It's a miserable driving machine over a distance.
Oh, really?
How far did you drive? An hour?
It's about an hour. But
That's
so
not a
so
fun
let me
drive.
preface this, okay? This is a 1964 Scout 1. This is one of the earlier year Scouts. They're very small. They're very utilitarian. They're very basic. This has full manual brakes. These are not power assisted brakes in any way. It takes a lot of brake pressure, or pedal pressure,
To stop.
to stop. It is not power steering. It is a manual steering, and it is not a rack and pinion.
Ooh, fun.
Right.
Floaty.
Yes.
Oh, God.
There's like 45 degrees of steering slop.
The worst thing about that is if you've ever driven one, there's a point where the car is not exactly going the direction that you want it to,
Right,
and so
right.
you're used to rack and pinion, so you lightly correct, but
Yeah.
you continue to head towards the ditch, and at some point you go, fuck, shit, shit.
Yeah.
And then it comes around.
And, it's a tall off-roady vehicle, so body roll is very prevalent. And so then you're trying to counter steer, and you got a little too much, and now it's doing this wibble-wobby thing, right? And so
Hell
that's
yeah.
a whole deal. That's a good time. It does not like doing what are considered modern highway speeds.
Oh, no.
I did what was according to my GPS on my cell phone because you can't trust the speedometer because it's 60 years old. I did what according to my GPS speedometer was 65, and that was booking it.
Valves coming out and dancing on top of the engine.
Yeah, well, no, the motor runs all right. Like surprisingly, for as low geared as it is, it did pretty well. But then the other thing is, it's a manual transmission, of course, but first gear is not synchronized. So you have to come to a complete stop to get it to shift into first gear. But second gear is a little bit luggy if you're going really slow. And so I'm trying not to be that guy in the cruising, right? Because it's a lot of stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. And so if we got going enough that I needed to shift it into second, in order to get it back into first, I had to come to a complete stop, or I had to grind it into first, which is a little bit awkward, and I don't want to be that guy. But then the other thing that I noticed on the highway, going in a straight line, no cruise control, obviously.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a thing in 64. You're giving it gas, maybe you're going downhill a little bit, so you lift. There's just an ever so slight lift off oversteer, even in a straight line.
Oh God.
You have to be focused on driving to drive this vehicle. There is no texting while driving in a 1964.
Bro, you know what your problem is?
so
You didn't go to
this is my thing.
You
This
didn't go
is
to
my
my
thing,
car
you
does
know-
what this. You know what else? This name is stupid. I've looked at this name twice now and said my car does what? I've said what does my car do? It is my car does what? It's a stupid name.
So this was what I was about to talk about earlier.
Yeah.
Is that you really want people to pay attention when they're driving and to not be distracted and to understand what all the things on their car do. Take all those things away from them.
I agree.
I don't have to know about a backup camera if it doesn't exist. I don't have to know about lane detection if it doesn't exist. But you know what I do need to do? Pay attention. Because if I'm not for even a split second, I'm in the ditch, I'm in the other lane, I'm oversteering, I'm lift off oversteering in straight lines, who knows what's happening? You have no idea.
For real though. It's like that when I drive the C20, which is not as old as that.
Right.
And the other thing on that is, so that truck had no power steering, no power brakes, no air conditioning. The truck now has power steering, power brakes, and air conditioning because it was miserable. It was the worst time ever.
It's great to hop in it and run down to Arnold's.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because I
we're having
need
a
some
good time.
parts,
Yeah.
I'm fixing my car and I got
A
to grab some
novelty,
parts.
yep.
You hop in the Scout, you take it down there. It's great for that. It's miserable on the highway.
I won't drive the pickup more than 65.
Because that's the other thing. You want us to use less gas and not travel so much? If you own that Scout, you would seriously double think anything that's more than a 15, 20 minute drive.
I could go there next week. I'm just going to wait.
If I wait till next week, I could get twice as many things done while I'm there. I'll just wait.
Driving is definitely too convenient.
I'm kind of hungry, feeling pretty lazy, but I sure as hell am not getting in that Scout and driving to the restaurant. So we're cooking at home tonight anyway.
I 100% understand that.
Oh man, it's just so radical. You don't have any idea how spoiled you are. You think that Robbie, your 240, you've stripped out a lot of its creature comforts, right?
Yeah, heat,
And
air conditioning.
You feel
cruise control.
this is a raw car now, right?
It's not.
You don't even know.
No, it's not.
You don't know how good you have it until you drive something like that. It's so.
I've never had the steering wheel
bad.
float like that.
But you want to know
It
what's
sucks, man.
I believe it. That would drive me insane.
the funniest part about it? The whole time I'm thinking about how bad this is, I have a smile on my face,
yeah.
and I fucking loved every minute of it.
Dude, my favorite car to drive that we own around is the truck.
Right?
It's fucking awesome.
It was so
It's terrible.
much fun.
It's terrible, but it's awesome at the same time. It's like if somebody's put a gun to my head and said you had to pick one, all the Camaros and the V8s and the Fiat, I'd take the truck.
When we got to the cruise night, we were hanging out at the restaurant that the cruise night is, and I was like, everybody else is in the back of their pickup trucks. Let's do this. So, me and Katie and then 3 of my old high school buddies, they all hopped in the back of the Scout and we just went cruising, and it was great. Couldn't have been happier. I don't need a 500 horsepower Firebird. This 110 horsepower Scout is the best cruising vehicle I've ever had. It was a ton of fun.
There's nothing worse than trying to do a cruise night with a high horsepower car because you can't.
Well,
They
so
don't like
you can't go.
They don't
You say
like
that, but so
Everyone does it.
the Scout, while not having some crazy 6-puck clutch or whatever,
Yeah.
it is manually disengaged. It is not hydraulically disengaged.
Hell yeah.
And so I didn't need leg day that day. Let's just put it that way. That clutch
Yeah, I
is
believe that.
that clutch is just as stiff as any high horsepower holding race car clutch I've ever driven.
I'm sure.
I haven't driven some 1,000 horsepower Supra that needs ungodly amount of clamping force, but I've driven some decently powerful cars, and that clutch is just as stiff as anything I've ever driven.
I believe that.
And that gas pedal's touchy. It's carbureted. It's difficult. I loved every second.
Fun
of it.
times, Robbie. It's a different time.
So, real quick about the cruise. When we were in high school, going there, I'd say most of the vehicles that were there were cars, right? Most of them, lots of Mustangs, lots of F bodies.
Firebirds, Camaros.
Yeah, lots of course, the muscle cars and stuff like that for the
Yeah.
older people. But a lot of the people our age were in Mustangs and F bodies and maybe some, like Cutlasses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mostly front engine, rear wheel drive V8 cars, but cars. That has radically changed in my hometown.
It's a trucking town.
It was all trucks,
Brodozers,
all of them.
Duramax, Cummins.
That Scout is the tallest thing I have driven in months. The shortest thing
You were looking up at people?
Yeah, still couldn't see a fucking thing. And I kept getting stuck behind these assholes that think it's just funny to roll coal constantly. This is how out of control that town is now. There was somebody cruising around in like a flat-nosed school bus, diesel-motored bus. It wasn't a pusher. The motor was still up front. And so it had side pipes going down the side of it that were 20 foot long.
Makes sense, I guess.
And then they had done some work to that motor, so it made the most ungodly loud turbo spool you've ever heard in your life. And it was this fucking school bus that they had painted flat black and then tinted all the windows. And they cruised in it all night long. There's someone there in one of those big F650 trucks.
Yeah.
Lime green, whole bunch of people in it cruising around.
I don't know what to say about
That's
that.
what my hometown has become.
This is,
I pulled in.
I don't know.
You turn around in a Shopco parking lot, and I would say you could probably park about 150, maybe 200 cars in there. You would be hard pressed to find a place to park in there, and not a single one of those parking spots was a car. I tried to get a picture of it, but I couldn't because I was driving the Scout, and you don't have time for things like that when you're driving.
Yeah, you'll die.
Yeah.
Texting and driving is not an option because
Yeah.
you'd already be dead.
No, but I just couldn't believe the stacks and the giant exhaust tips and the constant haze of soot hanging over the entire night. It's a very weird world that we live in.
I don't know why
So
why it's changed. I really don't.
So we always had the haze, but it was always because we had the burnout for
Right.
a couple of years.
No, that's not anything.
Then
That's not anymore.
They took that away from us too.
Yeah, that apparently got too rowdy and that got shut down. It was funny because there was a big sign right in front of where the cruise is supposed to, the center point of the cruise is supposed to be. Big sign says, no burnouts. 2 blocks down the street, there's a kid with a big cardboard sign that says, do a burnout. Some kid was like, he yells at me, make your tires spin. And I was like, technically they are. I don't think that he appreciated that.
No.
They were spinning.
That's some serious dad humor. And on that note, we should move on to the news.
Let's move on to the news before it gets any farther down
worse.
there. Yep. We'll start this off with the crowdfunded Dodge Viper that we talked about a while ago.
Yep.
It does a 7-minute and 1.03 second Nürburgring lap, and then subsequently crashes.
Yeah, apparently it blows up tires.
Tire blowout, 160 miles an hour, bounced off of both sides. That'll happen
Wrecked.
at 160.
Nothing left. Well,
But-
the funny thing was the other one previously tire blew out at 170, and that one was fine.
Yeah, he
did.
managed to not wreck that one.
No, we had diff issues later.
Yeah.
So neither one of them made it home in one piece.
But that makes the Viper the fastest American-built, fastest rear-wheel drive, and fastest manual transmission car ever to lap the Nürburgring. Production car.
And that was under not super great circumstances.
And everybody
they
who
were cooking
drove
tires.
it said that it could easily have done a mid 650.
Have you ever talked to a race car driver that didn't say, no, that was it? That's all I got.
I'm sure there's
I've
somebody
never
out
heard
there.
it. I've never heard a professional race car driver go, nope, that's it. That was all the time. I'm packing it in.
I have said before that's as fast as I can possibly go.
Well, that might be fair, but
It's as fast as I can drive.
I have
this
hit the
car.
limit of my driving
Well, yeah, well,
ability.
when their goal was under 650 and they only came within 12 seconds of that, I could have done it, except for these excuses.
12
Except for the
seconds is
tire.
literally 1/10 of a second per corner faster, and they would have had it. That's the crazy thing about the Nürburgring.
It is.
So
And I think if they would have had tires or temperatures that would allow it, I think that they could have at least jumped below 7.
yeah, apparently those tires were not ideal.
They went through. God,
But
what was
Kumo
it?
was putting a lot of money into this.
Yeah, that's the
they
real
really
bummer.
Didn't have a choice.
Kumo should have not sponsored this deal.
No,
yeah,
they
if they
should
would have had
have.
a different tire sponsor, it might have been a different story.
I think I read it in a different article, but they went through like 10 sets of tires.
Yeah, that does not speak well to Kumo,
It
unfortunately.
was 100. The track temperature is like 110, I think.
That's hot.
It's hot. There's
Yeah.
no denying that. And you're going to.
But when you have
tires,
two
but-
tire failures and you run through that many tires, it's just not really a good. It's not a commercial for Kumo.
You don't really want to have a tire failure at 160 miles an hour.
No, or ever on anything that you are sponsoring as a
Yeah.
tire manufacturer.
Yeah, but as a driver, that's the worst time to have a tire failure.
Yes, I agree. There was some conversations at Kumo, and I'm sure they went, "Yeah, let's not. This is not a social media thing that's going to go out. Let's
let it go.
let's forget this happened. Let's just move past."
But I do think it's cool that it was largely crowdfunded, and they went out there, and while they may not have reached their goal, they did set a lot of records, and that's still pretty admirable.
That's what counts. They said they're done though. They're
Yep,
done doing this. That's
we're-
enough.
It's over. Put a lot of money into it. Wrecked 2 cars that weren't theirs.
Didn't they wreck at least one new car, like brand new? Well, relatively brand new. They got it from a dealership.
Viper Exchange.
Yeah, Viber Exchange.
That's a bummer, though. I mean, to have that make that phone call.
Yeah, so we broke the
By
record.
the way, we broke the
but
record, but your car's a little screwed. Sorry about that.
You can carry this trophy home in one big pile. Sorry.
That'd be a bummer.
It's not as bad as you would think for having a tire failure at that speed and bouncing off of 2 walls. It's not pretty. Don't get me wrong.
No,
It's wrecked.
it's probably one of those things though where the crumple zone's gone, and so the car's. Oh yeah,
It's
no,
toast.
that's
You can't you're not fixing
that's
that.
not being fixed.
Tube it.
Yeah,
Turn it
yeah. So
into a car.
That'd be a lot of
it's
work.
probably not straight though.
By the way, somebody from a different podcast was in Germany, and apparently there is an advisory on the rental cars that says specifically you cannot go on the Nürburgring.
Oh, yeah. That's a thing.
That does
Damn
not
it.
surprise me.
And that's,
Ruining
that is
things.
a rule that gets broken on the regular.
I'm not taking that risk.
There are a lot of that's the thing is there are a lot of people there are companies who literally that is their business model is for renting cars for the Nürburgring, and they're like caged, cars that are designed for it. And so why would you just do that?
Because it's easier just to drive on instead of doing all that bullshit. But no, I see your point. I would
So-
not risk it, that's for sure.
Right.
It's too dangerous of a place. There's too many other people on there doing wacky shit.
Stupid shit.
Is that it for this one?
I think so.
Let's do the next one.
Cummins unveils an electric semi and flips off Tesla in the process because they were supposed to unveil theirs next month.
This is very surprising.
This month.
when
I
saw
didn't
this
see
news.
this. Cummins was not who I expected when I read
That's,
the
No.
the,
article.
that's the last company I'd
Right.
expect.
I was like,
Right.
oh, wait a second. This is interesting news.
Like they don't even build a truck right now. They just build motors.
This is kind of a publicity stunt thing. This isn't going to be a production thing. It's just to showcase their like the drivetrain and all that stuff.
You
It
try
does
get
not have a very good range. It's not enough.
As it sits, it does 100-mile range, but you can add battery packs to triple that.
This is also a day cab, so it's not really meant to go
Right.
very
Yeah,
far.
but even for a day cab, 100 miles is probably not enough.
Well, yeah, but they said that you would add batteries to this to
Right.
Make it 300,
to
which
get
is
the
supposed
range
to
that you
match
want.
what Tesla's claiming theirs is going to do.
The other
Again,
thing is
it's
that I think it
unproven.
has a significantly lower towing capacity than what is an average truck.
It can haul a 22-ton trailer and is meant for urban delivery.
do.
But I don't know what's a big ass.
I have no on a day on a I don't know.
I think
Something
that
around
the
town, I'm
total
not sure.
truck and I think the total truck and trailer and the load without having to have special like permissions and licenses is 40 tons, I think. I want to say it's 80,000 pounds.
I have no idea.
But that's
I don't know
including
either.
truck weight, trailer weight,
Spencer
and
could tell
load.
us.
So your point was they're not going to make the truck, but they're going to make the drivetrain?
Yeah, hold on.
Because I had seen that they were looking at 2019 production, which may have been only for the drivetrain. Maybe they're going to have somebody else make the truck. I don't know. or there's some sort of retrofit system. But my understanding was they were actually gonna produce this in the nearish future.
I think even with the shortcomings, it's still impressive, being that it's the first prototype from anybody that's been publicly released.
I guess I may have read into that too much. They said, while this electric truck is a concept, it's a working demonstration of a product Cummins plans to start producing by 2019.
Okay, so not that one specific. It's
No.
still a concept.
Yep, okay.
But they will make something.
Yeah, so it could be a full semi. I guess I just read into that statement too much.
I got you. That's fair.
But I don't think that this one has things like regenerative braking and stuff like that.
I'm sure
So
it doesn't have all that.
there's some technology that could be added that could extend range there, and little things like that. And like like they say, it is a concept.
Yeah.
But they are the first one to market with even the idea as a product.
Yeah, they actually brought it in front
They're
of
the
people.
first one
whereas-
to be able to say, here it is, and it works. This isn't just a drawing and a clay model. Here it is.
You know what's wild though? So this is 140 kilowatt. It's a 140 kilowatt hour battery.
Yep.
The P100D
Is 100.
is 100 kilowatt hours.
That just shows you
Think
how
about that for a minute.
ridiculous
Yeah.
the top level Model S is.
Wow.
That is a power. I mean, we know it's a powerful car. This is. I wonder how this drives differently. It's got to drive a lot differently. But I guess diesels make a lot of torque low down. But this is going to make a lot of horsepower too. It's confusing. I wonder how somebody who drives a truck a lot. I wonder.
This
They
should
could
get
give
up
us-
to speed a lot faster. I think there was a video I watched where it showed a
Oh, okay.
electric semi versus a diesel semi, and the electric semi was up to speed like that.
Well, so in theory, I don't know if it works this way in practice. You wouldn't need a gearbox, which would be a huge advantage.
yes.
Some electric cars have gearboxes, some don't. It really just depends on. I think it depends on what motor you use and what your final goal is. But these don't need to do 240 miles an hour,
Yeah.
so they, in theory, shouldn't need a gearbox. They should be able to do just direct drive.
So if you didn't have to shift, think about all that nonsense you have to do with a semi. The
time-
97
time
gears.
wasted
Yeah,
doing
gear,
that.
gear. You know what I mean?
And the
So think about-
complexity, that this, in theory, should reduce maintenance costs and things like that for these trucks, which is all good things for those, because that's big.
And they were talking about if you really needed it, you could use. They were planning on a diesel or a natural gas range extender.
I think that's something that you almost got to have with that range.
What are you furiously googling there, Robbie?
I'll just see what I can find for transmission information gearbox
If there's
stuff.
anything on that? But I think this has potential. Let's put it that way. If you had a range extender, this could have real potential.
This is we've been quoted in the past as saying, it's great that everyone's chasing after these cars, find whatever, but let's focus on what's the real problem here, and that's large vehicle putting on millions of miles annually. This is a step in that direction.
Yeah, definitely.
This is finally somebody looking at problems that are much larger than an individual commuter car.
Yes, definitely. Yes,
So-
as far as CO2
Pollution,
output
yeah.
capacity. Yep.
CO2
This-
emissions.
Yes. It'd be interesting to see with a range extender and the full battery pack and taking into account the actual power production, what your CO2 or just, whatever output would be versus a traditional diesel.
Yeah.
I think it would be significantly different.
Even if, because didn't we say before that it was like 11 miles to the gallon was really, really good for a semi truck, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Oh, I think they get like 3 miles to the
Yeah.
gallon or something stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember, but
May not be that low, but it's
it's been a long
low.
time since we
It's-
talked about something like this. But, even if they could get a combined mileage of, mid-teens, low 20s, that would be huge. Cost savings, pollution savings, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing something south of 8 miles to the gallon
That's not good.
on semis.
Yeah. For this Cummins semi, it's as it sits in the picture. it weighs almost identical to a standard semi. And then
Right.
obviously if you add batteries, the weight goes up. And then now I found the statement that confused me earlier. Cummins wants to put an electric powertrain in production by 2019, including battery electric and plug-in hybrids, and plans to produce the electric internals while outsourcing the vehicle bodywork.
Ah, there you go.
See, so depending on what article you read,
Well, I would.
I know.
interpret
It
it-
gets
it's-
spun different ways.
Yep.
depending
Cummins,
on-
I don't think has a production facility capable of building the body, so they almost
That-
have to.
yeah, I would
because
imagine.
that's what Cummins is. They build motors and then sell them to OEMs.
Yes.
And so that's what they're going to have to do here.
Yeah.
So, they'll get a hold of Peterbilt and they'll build a body, and Cummins will supply a drivetrain.
Definitely. Interesting. This would
They
be
need retrofit.
retrofit is probably realistic. You could probably realistically do it on a semi. There's enough space, real estate. I bet you could.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
I bet you could make something work.
Hybrid, even.
Yeah.
Maybe leave that drivetrain and replace one of the axles with a
Electric
motor.
starter thing. Help fill in between gear changes.
or even if some sort of hybridized retrofitting system. Even if you're only gaining a couple miles to the gallon, in the greater good, that's
Or
the
yeah,
big picture. That's big.
that and helping you get on ramps faster. I mean, my God, that would be a huge improvement
For you.
for me. Got LS2 shit to do. Get the fuck out of the way. I did that today.
Drop a gear.
Yeah. Second gear to semi today because he was in my way on the on ramp. He couldn't do anything about it, but it's
not his fault, Michael.
It was I know, but it is dangerous getting on 80 at 40 miles an hour. That's not a good. It's not a good look. I saw
It's
a
only
gap.
dangerous because people aren't paying attention.
I agree.
If they were all driving 1964 Scouts, it wouldn't be as big a deal.
They'd all be
They'd
going
also-
40 miles
yeah,
an
they'd
hour
all be
too.
going the
So
Well,
same
yeah,
speed.
there you go.
yeah. No, I agree because we were getting blown up, by people doing 80 miles an hour.
Right.
It's not a good. I don't like that feeling. It's dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah.
People are texting. I saw a guy texting and smoking a cigarette. Actually, I think he was watching a video while he was driving and smoking a cigarette. So those people are out there. You wonder why autonomous vehicles are going to be forced on us? It's because of that guy.
What annoys me more about on-ramp etiquette is a person in a car who merges at 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
The semi truck, he's doing everything he can. That's not his fault.
I understand.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
somebody in a new car who could have easily merged at speed and didn't, you're the real asshole.
Yep. Here's the thing to take into consideration. If everybody's going 70 and you get on the on-ramp and you're doing 70 before you reach the end of the on-ramp, you only need a gap that's as big as your car to merge, in theory, if you can thread that needle. But you know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're going 70, the other traffic is going 70. If you find a gap that's as big as a car, you can stick your car in there. If everybody else is going 70 and you're going 50, you need a huge gap.
Or someone has to
Slow down.
change.
Right. Change lanes, slow down.
That's dangerous.
Right. And there's no on ramp in the world where if you don't merge by the time the white line merges over, you're going to die.
And I would just like to point out, our friends at Turbo Timer Podcast pointed this out to me one day. On-ramps don't have speed limits. So just go for it.
That is true.
Have you ever
Off-ramps-
seen a speed ramp or a speed limit sign on an on-ramp?
unless it's got one of those stoplights on it, like the ones in Illinois do sometimes.
I mean, in all technicality, as long as you have slowed down to the speed limit on the road by the time you merge, you're legal.
You explain that to the officer.
So
I'd
hammer
like to see how
down,
that
people.
goes. I like to see how that
Hammer
goes.
down.
Yeah, tell us how that works out, please.
Off ramps do have a speed limit.
Off ramps
Off ramps
do.
for sure.
That yellow sign is the actual speed limit of the off ramp.
I think that is the suggested. If I remember right from reading the driver's license book, it is the fastest suggested speed in poor conditions.
I'll preface this with that may be the case. I was told by a driver's ed instructor, so take that with a grain of salt, that is the speed limit for the Ram.
I don't think that.
And it's a different color to differentiate it from the sign on the interstate. He could have been lying because he was a gym teacher, but
that is the problem with our local driver's ed
and
systems.
that goes back to, again, better driver's education. Have I ever paid any attention to one of those speed limits? Allegedly, no. But
As an older sports car owning friend of mine once told me, the point of those signs is to double plus 10 and see if you can take that corner.
I allegedly agree.
So if it says 35, you need to allegedly attempt it at 80.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
Somebody's going to look that up and tell us which one of us is wrong.
And after that comment, we'll talk about why we need autonomous vehicles. The autonomous car legislation will be voted on this week by our government.
So, bullshit on this article because it did not say what, and this is Autoblog. I'll put them on blast this week.
Boom.
See, they're usually really good.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. So
They seem to be linked to by other people. They seem to be the
Okay.
one who
They're first.
They post first, and then everybody else just copy pastes them.
for real, that's the problem. Is everybody copies it and then they change the wording slightly, and every time they change the wording, the meaning changes.
Yep.
So here's the thing: they didn't actually go in and read the stuff that they linked to because that article's not true. They were making the claim that they were voting on technology that would allow cars that were not legal,
Yeah, they don't meet current
don't-
autonomous safety standards.
right, would become
Legal.
legal, I suppose would be the word. That's
That's not
maybe technically true, but that's not the intention of the law. The intention of the law that's being voted on is to create a national standard for autonomous vehicle safety and technology. The problem is currently it's dictated by the states. So if you're Tesla, you have to apply 50 states worth of laws to your autonomous vehicle technology. Whereas once this passes, if it does pass Congress, you just have to adhere to the federal law.
Yeah, the states can have their own laws after the fact, but like the vehicle makers have to adhere to the country's laws.
Yes.
Or the governing bodies or whatever you want to call it. So once they meet those, then you have to figure out later how to meet state standards. And then in this bill, they also would have like special permits that would allow companies to have vehicles, self-driving vehicles on the road, starting with 25,000 vehicles, and then the next 3 years up to 100,000 vehicles. Then that's where this is coming from, where it says where they don't meet current autonomous vehicle standards.
Yep.
And that's on a state level, not necessarily on a countrywide level.
They were making it sound like this would allow the floodgates to open and you could, make your own bullshit autonomous vehicle technology that would kill many, many people, and that was, now going to be legal.
We definitely need some sort of federalized legislation on this.
We need a standard.
We need a safety standard. Well, we need a standard, not just for safety, but for protocols and how it works and what it is and how it communicates between cars and how it communicates with the world and how it sees things. Those
Yes.
all need to be standardized. So this is a step in that direction. And this does need to, maybe not this specific thing, but we do need to pass this.
I think the one
I
past
didn't
the
look
House.
into it enough to decide whether or not this was the right direction.
I think it's.
It sounds like it.
I think it's.
It's pretty vague, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know.
It needs
that's-
to be to start with.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really worth digging into and dissecting it.
We are not a political podcast, and that.
Well, no. I don't.
That's
I don't
where that
even mean.
goes down quickly.
I don't even mean that. I think this passed the House.
Already.
Well, it passed the House with what's the word? Unanimously. That's the word I'm
Yes.
looking for. So there were no dissenting votes.
I
So
think
this
it's
should
good.
pass.
This needs to happen. We need to be united on what we consider to be right and wrong for this.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I'd say we can't really afford to have companies doing whatever they want and pushing it out there, or even states on their own level doing
see
whatever
that.
they want.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is like what I'm about to say is very conflicting. Even it's kind of hard for
Hurting
me
you
to
inside.
say. Yeah, it tears me up inside a little bit, but I don't think that with vehicles specifically that states should be allowed to make their own offshoot rules.
Yeah.
Because even though I know if that were the case, we would probably, as Iowans, fall under having to pass emission tests and vehicle inspections and stuff. And currently we don't, and we exploit that pretty hardcore.
Allegedly, yeah.
You can't prove anything, but I think that as an automaker, it makes things much more difficult and therefore more expensive to produce if every state's got their own little rule that California makes it more difficult to produce a car than Iowa does, and therefore that makes those things more expensive. And we should be striving to not make anything more complicated than it already is. And I think if we're going to pass legislation on autonomy, it needs to be federally and not locally.
Yeah.
Did you see the name of this thing?
I don't remember it.
Oh, it's a doozy.
Oh,
Are you ready for
yeah.
this?
Bring it on.
I'm gonna have to. It's.
I probably
it's-
skipped it because it was too long, and I was just
gibberish.
couldn't be
Hold on,
bothered
it's
to
gibberish,
read
so
it.
I got to read it. Safely ensuring lives' future deployment and research in Vehicle Evolution Act.
Does that acronym down to something?
Self-drive.
Of course it does.
God damn it.
It's terrible.
Who worked on it and for how long?
It's like when
We
you see
paid this
those-
person.
When you see those little towns, as you drive into a little town, they have a sign that like lists out all like what they're.
Yeah.
Somebody spent a whole bunch of time on that.
Let me read it one more time because
Please,
it's gibberish.
please.
Safely ensuring lives' future deployment and research in Vehicle Evolution Act.
There needs to be some punctuation in there to really make that work.
Self-drive. Oh, there's an extra A in there. Oh well.
Well. And
Self-driver.
if it's and it doesn't count.
Self-driver.
That can be dropped.
You can drop
No,
the act.
Well, okay, we're dropping the act then. Then it is self-drive. I just had to double check, but yeah, self-drive.
Is act on the end?
Yes,
What could be self-drive act?
true.
Oh, jeez.
Man, somebody spent a lot of there
Way
in the
too much
middle. It
time.
takes a really weird turn. The future deployment,
Yeah, forcing that future. in there.
ensuring lives' future deployment gets weird.
We paid somebody.
That's what I'm saying.
you
dude.
went to work today to pay somebody to figure that out.
I know, and every Friday when I get my check, I go. For real, bro. That's rough. Do being
You know
single?
how much easier my life would be if they didn't take 30% of it?
I know.
I'd have a lot more race car. I can
Being
tell you
single
that.
and having no dependents is a real bummer when you get your check.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
What's next, Robbie? Before this
I'll
goes
wrap
anywhere?
this up. Hurricane Harvey could total 500,000 vehicles. Probably more.
We got a bigger problem now, which is
Yeah.
that we could lose another 500,000 vehicles in
Or
Florida.
more.
Yeah, or more. That's
Yeah, I'll
supposed to be.
say you'll be listening to this on Sunday, which means this will be outdated by then, which probably means there's probably another 500,000 vehicles.
I think it makes landfall.
Sunday.
Is it Sunday?
I think,
so.
and I think that this Hurricane Irma is going to do a lot worse than Hurricane Harvey did.
Let's hope not.
They're saying it's supposed to be pretty nasty.
It's the
This-
highest rated Atlantic storm ever.
That storm intensified faster than any hurricane they've seen in 20 years.
It's supposed to be worse than Hurricane Andrew, which is why we have all the invasive species in Florida, like the pythons and shit.
Right.
Clarify that statement.
There was a bunch of exotic pet places down in Florida.
Oh,
and
I
then when
see.
Hurricane Andrew hit, all these like crazy snakes
Animals
and stuff
got out.
and now they have no predators, so the pythons and stuff just go rampant. You
Bizarro.
can go to Florida right now and get paid to kill pythons.
Neat. Why are we here?
I'm not kidding.
Fuck this job
that sounds
nonsense.
You can get paid to kill pythons and
You're telling me
lionfish. You can
you're
kill, if you
telling
kill
me
lionfish, you get
I could
money.
go get some of those shorts with all the pockets on it and the vest.
Yeah, you gotta go.
And
You have to.
Crocodile Dundee my
Crikey.
ass around and with a fake Australian accent, literally all day,
Uh-huh.
and get paid to do that shit.
I think so. I mean, it's probably not paying well.
See you
but-
guys
I
on
think-
Skype next week.
I think my dad's favorite thing in the world is running over garter snakes with a lawnmower, so he'll probably join you because he
Perfect.
hates snakes.
I don't mind snakes.
I think snakes
I don't
are
like
cool.
bugs. I've gone since moving to the country. I've gone around my house with Ortho Home Defense like twice. Like
I know, it's
getting
bad.
rid of these bugs.
I almost got killed by wasps last week, like
Yep.
legitimately.
Oh, I took on 4 different wasp nests when I moved in.
No,
Just sat back and sprayed a whole bottle. I'm like, getting all of you.
I popped the door open on the back of a radio on top of a 12-12 pitch roof and just about died because wasps fell into my hands.
Oh shit!
And I just about rolled off the backside of the house, and it would have been a 30-foot drop because he's got one of those walkout basements
Oh shit!
onto cement. I probably would have been dead.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a charged statement
Go on.
that I think needs to be made. I keep seeing these articles about people doing weird shit to save their cars in Texas. Just let
Don't
the car
bother.
go.
Don't bother.
It's just a car, man. I mean, and at the end of the day,
If you can't drive it out of Texas with the
Well,
rest of your
yes,
crap,
that's my
don't
thing, like-
bother.
They knew this was coming. Why didn't they just get in the car and drive? If it was that important to them, take it away.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's some reason that like I assume traffic, maybe. Traffic's so bad,
Or
only
maybe-
taking one vehicle is a good idea. There's no gas. I mean,
Or maybe they weren't that close to the coast and like, oh, no way. It's not getting
But
this.
like that one that got posted everywhere, that guy
Yeah.
with the BMWs,
Yeah.
he kept raising them as the water level was raising. He was there.
bro, you haven't, like, it's just a fucking car, man.
And
just a
yeah,
car.
they were. It was an E36 M3 and an X5.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that literally about any car. If they told me that I own, if they said tomorrow we're going to have some weird tornado, hurricane bullshit or whatever, and you could potentially say, I'm getting out of here. Taking my family, I'm taking my dog, getting in my normal car, and I'm just driving out of here. I'm not,
Yeah.
it's just, nothing is more, your car is not so important to like put your life, I don't know if that guy stuck around just to look after his vehicles, but
Well, he may not have had anywhere else to go.
well,
but
he stuck around
still
long enough to
spent-
make a video about it.
He still spent time raising his car, inch by inch, because he was doing it.
how was he
using-
doing it?
He was using bricks. And so he would lift the car up as high as the jack would allow him and set it down on bricks, and then put the jack on bricks and lift it up
Jesus.
again.
Why is that safe?
He's lucky the whole thing just didn't
Right,
fall
well,
in.
how
But
does it-
as he's doing it, the water level's rising.
Yeah, that's dumb. Just get away from the car, man. It doesn't
So he's
matter.
sloshing around in this water trying to raise his E36
What if it
M3 and
falls
his
on him?
X5.
If it falls on him or knocks him out or something like that, he's dead.
He wouldn't have got any coverage on Jalopnik if that happened.
I don't know if I want to say annoyed, but that's my public announcement for today. It's just a fucking car.
Yeah,
any car is a car. It's just a
Yeah.
car. We do this is fun. We're joking around. We're dicking around.
I
But
make really bad decisions when it comes to cars all the time, but when push comes to shove, that is not the priority.
it's not more important than your health or your family. Just let it go. It's what insurance is for.
Yeah.
It'll get covered, even if it's not the exact same one. Just move on with your life. Just go do something. Get a different thing. Get a different BMW. Get a different Porsche. It's not a big deal. Because I was seeing pictures of like Ferraris that had mud, in the inside of them. I was like, shit happens,
Too bad,
bro.
I
But
guess.
Yeah.
so here's the thing about those cars. So now those cars are going to end up on auction. And about
Yeah.
the worst thing you can buy is a flood damage car.
Unless you're gutting it and LS swapping it.
So
don't
that's what I
bother.
was saying.
Yes.
That's the sole reason I put this
Robbie.
on here is imagine all the ridiculous race cars that we could build off of Copart in the next 6 months.
Call Sicky. Tell him we need a kit for a 430. Put an LS3 in it.
We're gonna burn a lot.
YouTube.
Yeah, we're gonna burn this internet down.
Well, okay, so when Superstorm Sandy rolled through and flooded out like half of downtown New York, you remember that a few
Yes.
years ago?
Yeah.
I was watching this auction site because they had an R8 on there. It was an R8 V10, and it sold for like $12,000. Said it turned over but wouldn't start.
I don't need to know that.
But the headlights were full of water. They said you could look at it, you could see the water line on it, and it was like maybe 4 inches down from the top of the ceiling, or at the top of the roof line.
Man, that's a lot of water.
So it was basically submerged. But you know what it would make? A fucking sweet race car.
It would make a sweet race car.
You just put a Motec in it, strip everything else out of it. Track time, bro.
Yeah, just gut it, cage it.
You're never gonna get a cheaper, ridiculous race car than that.
No,
Imagine all the cool, but and even more realistic things. Like there's gonna be a lot of C5s, C6s,
yeah.
240s.
But if you're looking to buy a vehicle and then repair it,
Not a good place to start.
don't buy a flood damage vehicle.
No,
Don't do it.
no.
It looks like a good deal on paper. You're like, oh,
Seems
it's just
like
a
it
couple
should be real easy.
just a couple computers, I'll dry the engine out, do a little maintenance. No.
You know what they always
it will never be the same.
You know what
ever.
they always do when they get those things? They try to fucking start them.
Right.
Yep.
And then they bend a rod.
Yeah, exactly. They always do that. Oh, it turns over. That's
No, it
worse,
didn't.
actually. You shouldn't have done that.
It's broken now.
Should have left it alone.
Yeah.
The engine would have been good at least.
Yep.
I've had a super perverse idea, and I'm just going to say it. And if anybody tells me not to do it,
You might have to.
I might
do it.
have to do it because this is.
I bet you won't do it.
I feel like a
somebody
lot of my
tell them
life.
not to do this.
I feel like my life is motivated by a lot of people saying, "Oh, you can't do that." Yeah, well, fuck you. Watch
Yeah,
this.
watch.
So, I love Italian cars.
Yep.
I love LS engines.
Yep.
So here's what I was thinking. Ferrari with the LS motor would like to do that someday, or LT or whatever
great.
we're at some point. Shorter term plan, instead of the FD, which I would love to have, getting up there by Ferrari prices. By the way, these things are getting stupid.
annoying.
Not really,
insane,
but not super prices, but
Just
not
as well
getting
be
cheaper.
for as much as I can afford.
Damn, super's expensive. It's not getting cheaper. So what I was thinking was Maserati Grand Coupe
With an LS swap.
with an
in it?
LS swap. Here's the thing. I've done a little bit of research into this. Look this up. Nobody's done it. Some maniac put a Maserati motor in a Miata because he's a crazy person.
I like where this guy's head's at.
I don't know that it ever got finished,
No, it did.
but it
probably
involved
not.
like building a tube subframe.
Are
and
those
all
like
this.
dual overhead cam motors? Or are those like?
It's not that
They just
big.
as well be Coyotes, or
It's
no?
not
They're
that
not
big.
that big.
No, it was smaller than
Really?
I thought. I was really surprised at how small it was.
Oh, speaking of Maserati motors, that one that we talked about like literally a year ago on the podcast,
Yeah.
still for sale on Craigslist.
Hard pass on that. I'll have to look.
$1,500. He's dropped $1,000.
Ooh, I'll
He
look
knocks
into
a
it.
one off of it. He might have something.
$500. I'll buy it tomorrow. Here's the thing. It's a rear transaxle.
Ooh, that's a problem.
I don't think it is a
I
problem
don't think it is either.
because two reasons. If you could figure out a way to
Oh,
adapt,
then you just need to figure out how to make a drive shaft.
You know how easy it is to make a drive shaft?
you'd have to. Okay, but here's the other kicker. Guess what else has a rear transaxle?
Corvettes.
Corvettes.
C6 Corvette has a rear transaxle.
It's got a T56 in the back.
It's almost like it's too easy.
It's almost doable. Think
You know-
about it. But here's the thing. Then I went on Auto Trader. Huge mistake. Guess how much you can buy a working Grand Coupe for?
15.
12.
Oh, shit. I paid more than that for my Audi.
Yeah, I was like, what in the so here's what then this is the problem with this. Then I was thinking you could buy the working one.
Sell the.
Well, you could sell the parts out of it. You could probably sell the parts out of it and come ahead, or drive it till it's not working, which would be the problem with having a Maserati.
Because it's inevitable. It will.
What do you,
get there.
what do you care? Because you have greater
Right.
plans.
Right. So you get to have the Maserati
You know,
experience.
that would be the most freeing Maserati experience you could ever have.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter.
Because there's that saying that they say the two best days of the Maserati owner's life is the day you buy it and the day you sell it.
Yeah.
But if you know that your end game is swapping it,
Yeah.
you don't care.
You don't give a shit. And I don't. And honestly, if it's mine, I don't give a shit if the gauges work. I don't give a shit if the radio works. Like seriously, I'll
You're
just
gonna
replace.
drift it anyway. What's it matter?
Yeah, it's gonna be a drift car. But no, I'm kidding. It wouldn't be a drift car. But
Yes,
I
it
would.
would.
It might.
Be
End.
sick though, wouldn't it?
It's like that thing where you're like, every time I buy a car, it turns into a race car. Not saying I do that.
I'm
but
going to leave this car alone. It's going to be my daily.
Bam.
6 months later.
Maserati drift car. But if it was me, I think just to take it that extra, like just that little extra bump, I might put a metal dash in with odometer gauges where the old Maserati gauges were,
Yeah.
just to twist that knife just a little bit more, and then like register it for like a Italian car show.
Concourse.
Concourse. It's a Maserati.
Just don't tell anybody.
Man,
I will
so-
never be invited back.
So what I found out just today, because depreciation is a bitch,
Yep.
you can buy a Panamera for low 20s.
Yeah, but why would you? I guess is the question.
If you blow that motor up, you just LS swap it too. Fuck
Or you
it.
could just crush this stupid car.
Robbie.
Just to take one out of circulation.
Yeah,
it
just
might be
get
worth
rid of
20
them.
grand. Yeah.
$22,000 to buy a Panamera.
That's about $20,000 too much.
I wonder what blown motor Panameras are going for, or salvage title Panameras.
Well, if you're wondering, there's 2 full pages of Maseratis from 2002 and newer on Copart right now, Michael.
on Copart,
I know I've already been on Copart because I found a Gran Turismo, which might be more.
That'd be a 4-door.
I'm thinking of like
No.
the 2000.
Turismos are 2 doors.
This would be.
Quattros are
This would be.
You're right. I'm thinking the
Quattro.
I'm thinking of the.
4-seater.
Here, hold on a second. Oh, I broke it.
Dang it.
This is the Gran Turismo. That's this one.
Yeah,
that might
yeah.
be. That might be a little too much.
glorious looking.
That's a
car.
sweet car. I'm talking about the one that's a little bit or Grand Sport. Sorry, they call it the Coupe or the Grand Sport.
Yeah, yeah,
It's that one.
that's right.
That's the one I was thinking of. I feel like I could.
$12,000, huh?
$1,000. It was like a 2007.
You almost
or no,
can't afford
It was a
not
2008.
to.
It was newer than the Trailblazer.
You
I was
almost
like,
can't
fuck,
afford not to.
It was cheaper than the Trailblazer. And had fewer miles. It had 70,000 miles on it, which
What?
I know on a Maserati is a lot, but it was like,
But what do you care?
if you get 10,000 miles out of it,
Is what it is.
it is what it is. And if the transmission goes bunk, throw that out too and put the or put a Getrag Porsche 5-speed in it.
I like the idea of the Corvette drivetrain. That's probably relatively feasible.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of fabrication, don't get me wrong, but it'd be a project.
But it's a lot more realistic than a lot of other things we've come up with on the
I
show.
think it would be, minus the swap kit, I think it would be to take an FD. I think it would be relatively the same amount of work and maybe cheaper than an FD.
than just buying an FD.
Yeah, because I saw a trashed FD for 10 grand.
Yeah.
Trash. And
Yeah.
you'd have to do the whole car. You'd have to paint. You'd have to do body work,
Yeah,
paint
you're
it.
basically starting from scratch.
Yeah, and, the only thing you're really buying with the FD is the ability to go buy a swap kit. And the knowledge of doing this, like making the gauges and stuff work. But I'm not as concerned about that because I'll just do that. Oh, no, you just get one of those
Race
Race
dash.
Race dash.
Race pack.
Those are like $800.
Yeah, and like I said, who cares if anything else in there works?
Or you could just put an OBD2 module and a tablet.
Yeah. That'd make some people angry if there was like an Amazon tablet that
Fire.
ran your Maserati. Yeah, that'd be like some people.
Play some
Like
Candy Crush while you're
culmination.
stuck in traffic.
Yeah, it's like the whole deal. I like it. I think it's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
They're not going to get any more expensive.
It's
Let's put it that way.
annoyingly cheap.
I know. I know. I went down a rabbit hole. You could do the whole thing. If you bought one on Copart, you could do it way cheaper. But you could do it for like
If you were like on the verge of becoming a Pro 2 guy, and you were trying to find that
the car to do.
You know, like Dirk talked about how part of his motivation for the Corvette was that it's unique, it's interesting because there's not another one.
Maserati Grand Sport.
Well, now let's swap to Maserati. I think you're on to something there. One of us needs to win the lottery.
I think I could. Give me a couple years. Like I said, the Maserati's going to get cheaper. I could put a truck engine in it.
You almost need to buy a wrecked vet,
It would make the most sense to buy a wrecked vet.
because you need that drivetrain.
It would have made way more sense to buy a wrecked Firebird when I did the RX-7, but,
Yeah.
meh. It is what it is.
The cop car thing is irony, though.
It is pretty funny. I enjoy telling people it's a cop car motor because they're like, what?
Wait, what?
What?
Bring that back now.
Cop car, drift car, same thing. I think that's it.
Should get a light bar.
You do it for nighttime drifting
Ooh,
or underbody lights.
underglow for sure.
You need red and blue flashing under.
I've picked an obnoxious color for my bash bars and my cage.
No.
He's gonna love it.
Is it that fucking mint green that you've been obsessed with for so long?
What color is that guitar right there?
Mint green.
God damn.
Seafoam green, bro.
There, seafoam.
He's
That's
like
a better word.
obsessed. He's been obsessed with that color
It's
as
a
long as
60s
I've
color.
known him.
I think if I wrap the 240, I should go like a really bright metallic green.
You know what you should consider is
What
that
fascinates me is that you guys would go that far to annoy me.
no, it's not to annoy you. I just people with drift cars like they paint their shit wild colors. I've never seen anybody paint anything that color. I'm not gonna paint my whole car that
No,
color.
no, no. But yeah,
My bash
that's a
bars
good.
and
That's a
myself.
good accent color.
Yeah, because it's pretty annoying to him
Yeah,
and it's unique.
I'm honestly trying to argue with myself on whether or not I go a metallic blue or a metallic green. And right now, the sticking
right?
knife
Is
at
the
you
knife kind of twist, kind of taking you towards green, or is it just because you
This is
do you
what
like
happens.
green?
I don't dislike green.
This is what happens when you start a podcast.
It's
It's almost
almost-
stupid shit like this because it's content.
but it's green's gonna be almost too flashy for me because I really like blue chrome. I don't know if I could drive a car that's blue chrome.
Could you drive a car that's green chrome though?
I don't know. But my rims
so-
aren't gold. I need gold rims
Here's
in order
my
to do
only-
that.
Here's my only provisor. I don't think anybody has a big fleck blue car currently. Somebody for sure has a green fleck car.
Does anybody know of a vinyl company that wants to sponsor a podcast?
3M.
Yeah, they could tell me what color to make it, and then we'll go from there. I
Hit
got
up our friends at Zion Design.
Oh yeah,
Zion could hook something
yeah.
for you.
I gotta make some calls. This is my winter project. In case you're,
Are you actually going to wrap it this winter though?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I got to fix my body work. I can't have a hole in my car.
Nah, bro. Have you seen a drift car? Holes everywhere.
I take pride in how it looks, man. I'll fix it.
You
But
need
I can't paint it because that's just too much work.
I hate this term, but it works in this case. You need a missile.
I do need one, but that's
Yeah.
not that car yet. Maybe someday. But right now, I want to keep fixing it.
Problem with a missile 240 is it's still not cheap.
No.
It's still not a cheap car.
And I got too much into it for it to be a missile.
No, not this car. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Should do something different.
The $500 240 that I found on Craigslist that Jess almost left me about, that would have been the right car to start with.
She would have forgave you eventually, though.
Yeah, I didn't have the house yet, and if I would have just showed up with a beater 240.
You could have snuck it in the garage, and like, does she really need to go out there? I mean, to be honest.
I should have. Well, I didn't have the garage yet. I would have.
Right, that's
I would
what
have
I'm
had
saying.
to contact the seller and say, "Hey,
No, Michael and I
bought this car.
Between the two
I need
of
to
us,
hide
we could have
it."
stored it.
Yeah, it's true.
You could have parked it on that pad. It may have ended up with an LT1 in it, but you could have put it on that pad. Over
Save
there.
me some work.
Chaz parked his BMW in my driveway for over a year. Whatever.
If you're looking at it for free parking, go to our Facebook group and tag Adam. 1010s Podcast Group.
Eventually, I'll get annoyed and start charging you, but
That's all good. All right, let's wrap this up, please.
We're at 2 hours, bro. I'm sure you're
I'm
super
fully
annoyed.
aware. Damn it.
Sorry, guys. Rabbit says we got to peace out. We'll see you guys next week.